Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
What's up, everyone? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. Fun show lined up tonight. We're going to be talking about the game Bulbware later on with the creators of that, and I'll have some friends along for the ride, but we're kicking things off. I got not one, but two guest co-hosts today. First up, Cole Martin. How are you doing?
I'm a friend. Yay.
And then I psyched out Chris, and I went with you first. So Chris Taylor is also here. How are you doing?
Yo.
How's everyone doing tonight?
We got,
Don't everyone answer at once. Jesus Christ.
I answered first last time. It's Chris's turn this time.
Oh, I see.
God almighty.
I'm doing good. I'm wrestling with ancient technology by way of trying to get my my old Nintendo Wii Virtual Console games onto my newer Wii U.
This shouldn't be that hard, should it?
Well, when the Wii itself is broken, yeah.
Oh yeah,
a bit of a project.
How did you break it?
I don't think I'm allowed to say. Let's just say that early modifying technology for the Wii was haphazard.
Did you break it like years ago then?
Yeah, okay, so a friend hard modded it back in like a couple of months from when it was released, and that involved like drilling holes in it and mounting a chip to it and all this other stuff. And I don't know that broke it, but if it did, it took 4 years to do so, because it worked fine until like the turn of the decade. This conversation is going to make everybody feel old.
Soft mod for life, man.
Yeah, I know that now, but I still legit have, well, not even legit purchased, but I have 40 games attached to my account that I would really like to play on the Wii U because they're not available anywhere else. Like the Turbo CD games and stuff.
Yeah.
I nabbed quite a few of those.
Always
and that was
fun.
actually because I was roommates with a journalist who got them for free but didn't have his own Wii, so he downloaded them to mine. So it's not exactly like there was any like cost involved.
Man, you have befriended a lot of reviewers in your life, haven't you?
Yeah, you might say it's a strategy.
You gotta make friends in the right places.
And how about you, Cole? How's your day been?
My day has gone fairly well. I've just been in existence today. I've played a few games, and I'm still working on knocking out that art completion. Not that it matters because one of the achievements is glitched, but I got one more achievement to go, other than the glitched one.
And then I know you were hanging out with me earlier because later on in the show, you and I are both going to be chatting with Szymon and Artur from Bulbware about the game Bulbware, which is really, really fucking cool.
Yes, I got to hang out and pretend to be a real person for a little while and talk about some really cool games.
And I was right. When people listen later on and they hear me introduce you in the second half of the show saying that you might have already been on the show, I was right. You're here.
You were right. It's like you were psychic or something.
Indeed. Oh, I try. I do my best. Before the show truly kicks off, I do want to take a second that I might be a little bit out of it tonight. Only about an hour ago, I got the news that a very good friend of mine, a friend of the show, he's been listening since the single digit days. He had to stop listening in the past couple of months. My friend Charles was battling brain cancer and he lost his fight tonight. So Charles, I miss you. I love you. And this show and all of its stupidity is for you and in your honor. Fuck cancer. That's,
yeah.
I think that's the moral of that story. Fuck cancer. So, if I go quiet at all tonight, or, if my voice starts crackling a little bit like it just almost did, that's why. So I shall do my best to keep it together because there's plenty to do tonight. figure we'll tackle the news. We'll do a giveaway. We'll talk about SMLoween, which I know everyone is excited to hear about that.
Yay!
Hooray!
Your enthusiasm is off the chart.
Yay! I don't want to sound too enthusiastic because I can get a little rambunctious. It's horror games and it's a giveaway. It's like my two favorite things all squished into one.
There are so many games. There are so many games to give away. Before we dive into the news, No Time for Games in the chat just asked, has anyone played the Battlefront 2 beta?
Bah.
No.
All right, good chat.
First Battlefront.
Great chat.
There's your answer.
Totally,
That's
guys.
that conversation. SMLoween, yes.
Points
SMLoween.
off my geek card because I have to repeatedly say that I'm not interested in Star Wars. I've never seen the movies. I don't play the games. Just not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was almost a good topic of conversation, but that fell apart very quickly.
I've seen a Star War.
Just one?
Just the one war. I mean, it's kind of an ongoing war, isn't it?
I guess
I'm
so.
bluffing my way through a summary of all the films.
Oh man, let's just jump to the news then. I keep hearing myself back through someone, and I don't know who it is.
I keep turning my volume way down. I don't think it's me because it's pretty low at this point.
I'm gonna blame you anyway.
We're all
Let me
headphones
do it
over
again.
here, so
All right, let's chat news this week. Oh yeah, that's definitely coming from you, Cole.
Yep, I turned it up on accident that time.
How dare you?
But
So,
in our
first
heart.
Star Wars and then this.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell? This show is just off the rails.
If the show can be fucked up, you can guarantee I'll be the one to fuck it up.
Just like the games you review. You break everything.
I have an impressive history. Man, I was even painting the other day and I spilled my ink. And I just broke it. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Well, then we'll talk news. How about that?
Let's talk news. I can't
right.
break news.
No, well, technically you could break news, but we never break news. We just give a news roundup of the week. And I guess...
But we got some breaking news.
Not really.
Oh, come on. Go
At
with me
this
on
point,
this.
it's old news.
I think the biggest news of this week has been the absolute shitstorm that's been going on with Forza 7 and the VIP pass and just the game in general. People are not happy with the new VIP pass for Forza 7. In previous Forza games, the VIP would give you double the money that you earn through the entire game, like your entire time. And with Forza 7, they changed it so that you would only get 5 consumable mods that would each last for 5 races that would double your money. So instead of forever earning double money, you would earn it through 25 races. And that's it. Yeah.
Is it still the same process it was for the others too?
What do you mean process?
Price.
Oh,
Damn it, Joe.
I can't help your accent. I think VIP has pretty much always been $20, which it was this year. It may have been cheaper earlier, but yeah, it was $20 just like previous years. And it was fucking stupid. To their credit, just today, because of the uproar over the shenanigans, Turn 10 has reversed their decision. They will be changing the VIP back to the usual double credits for good. And they are also going to be sending all VIP members 4 additional cars, Forza Edition cars, with the 2016 Jaguar F-Type Project 7, the 2017 Chevy Camaro ZL1, the 2017 Acura NSX, and the 2010 Maserati Gran Turismo S. All of them being Forza Edition cars, which they'll get some extra bonuses and boosts. And then all VIP members will also receive 1 million credits in-game to buy cars.
You have to say that 1 million
1
credits.
million credits. Yeah, so
They
props.
fixed it. Like, I never felt like the VIP thing was worth it in the first place. Even when, like, we have Forza Horizon 3, and, like, it went on sale for $4, and my husband's all like, it's only $4, we gotta get it. And I was just like, no.
See, I like the VIP because you would occasionally get bonus cars. You would get double the money and everything, which I thought was awesome. And they just fucked it up this year. But to their credit, they fixed it. They did fix it. They didn't reverse how it works yet. It is in the process, but VIP members should already have the cars and the credit bonus now. That is if your VIP is working. For some reason, I can't get my VIP or my DLC. Like, I have 2 car packs from it. I have like driver gear from the one contest, and for pre-ordering at Best Buy, nothing shows up in my game. None of it. And I don't know why. Is that typical growing pains for Forza? I've never played a Forza early or from the beginning. I've never had a problem like that. I swear, just in the past week, everything that can go wrong with games has been going wrong. Like, the Forza 7 credits or the Forza 7, just everything isn't working for me. Pinball FX3, none of my tables would import, which thankfully has been figured out. Apparently, I'm one of those fringe cases that just own way too much content, and it confused the game. What it sounds like is you have a case of the coals and you're trying to break it. Possibly. That's what I'm getting. Like, you're just trying to be mean. Which I don't blame you.
I like the idea that a game can enter your collection and then be just like completely confused by its surroundings. Because it's just so many other games. It's like, what? What? Like, imagine if there was a Toy Story with his amiibo collection and that happened. That would be the whole plot line of like the amiibo collection story. It'd just be like a new one gets dropped into the mix, and it'd be like, but there's so many links I don't understand, and yeah, that would be it. That's the whole plot. I don't know. Part of me wonders if it's because I own like Pinball FX tables from the 360, from the Xbox One. I own stuff on the PS3, the Vita, the PS4. And I know, like, with all their tournaments and the scores, those are all, like, universal leaderboards and stuff. So I wonder if the game was trying to detect content I owned on other platforms. Oh, yeah. Maybe? Yeah, I don't know. I own too much shit. I guess that's the problem. That's an impressive way to break things. Like, that's not a way to break things I have ventured into yet, and I'm impressed, and I feel I need to explore this avenue of breakage. Oh, man. But VIP wasn't the only problem people were having with Forza 7. People are also pissed about the fact that they added loot boxes to the fucking game. Wait, to Forza? Yeah. What? They have fucking loot crates that you get mods and cars and shit out of, and some cars are like tied to some of the boxes, and it's all random shit. And like, these are full price retail games. Can we keep loot boxes out of these, please? Like, Shadow of War's pulling this shit. Forza's pulling, like, fucking stop with the loot boxes. I hate these fucking things. You're gonna have to explain to the old guy in the room, what is a loot box in the context of the game? Do you play many free-to-play mobile games? No. Okay, well, basically, loot crates started getting popular with Overwatch, where you would spend some in-game currency, or you could pay real money if you wanted to buy these boxes, which would give you a random assortment of items. Sometimes you get good stuff, sometimes you get bad stuff. Like, you could get sprays for your character where you could like spray on the wall, or you could have voice lines, or you could just earn money to buy other stuff. Or every now and then you would get like a skin, a character skin, which, wow, I got a really, really awesome skin. And they became really popular. And then Rocket League started doing it. And now tons of other games are doing it. And in a free-to-play game, I could kind of understand, because that's where you make your money. In a free game. For sure. But in a $60 game where you're going to be charging people money to unlock shit that's in the game randomly without any guarantees they're going to get anything good, it's straight up gambling. And it needs to fucking stop. Yeah, no, that doesn't sound very appealing.
I fucking hate loot boxes in games, and the fact that they're entering the $60, or even in the case of Forza, like the Ultimate Edition of Forza was $100.
Oh yeah.
And people who dropped $100 still gotta buy these fucking loot crates. To Forza's credit, there's no money transactions to their detriment yet, because sometime in November or December, they're going to be adding real money microtransactions to the game to buy loot crates if you want.
Yeah, that's it's funny, like so like I could make the argument that, well, old video games didn't do that. You bought the game once and you were done with it. But then I remember that I bought like Super Mario Brothers 3 like 5 times now. That's how they get you. They just keep making you buy the same game.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating that, we spend money on the games. We spend money on early access for the games. We spend money for season passes. We spend money for VIP packs. We're going to spend money on expansion passes, and they want more money for loot crates for cars in the game, for like real money. Just get fucked. I'm tired of loot crates in games, and it's clearly not just an Xbox problem. This shit's happening on all platforms. And it really needs to stop. I think China has the right idea where they're forcing companies to reveal the drop rates for items, like the odds of an item dropping. And because of that, I know some companies are just outright changing how loot crates and stuff work in China, which I think is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's ridiculous. What are you going to do?
It is true.
Even more fun news for Forza fans is that apparently just this week, Microsoft delisted Forza 5 and all the DLC from the marketplace with no notice, no heads up of like, hey, we're going to be, our contract is expiring in October, so you might want to grab the game now. I mean, they gave it free with Games with Gold the other month, so that's kind of cool, but still, to give no notice, that's fucked up.
It was pretty random when it was like, oh, Forza 5 is delisted. And I was like, wait a second. I just redeemed a code for that like a month before it went free with gold. If I'd held on to that and it hadn't gone free, I would have been screwed.
I don't know. It's not all bad news, though, for Xbox. They just announced a brand new Xbox One bundle is going to be launching October 27th. It's going to include a white console and controller, as well as digital downloads of Assassin's Creed Origins and Rainbow Six Vegas, which is pretty cool. A 1-month Game Pass subscription is included as well. And with a 1 terabyte hard drive, it is going to run you $349. They also said there's going to be a bundle with a 500 gig system, but they only provided European pricing for that, so that one might not be available in America.
Oh no, America.
Yeah. I'm really debating on like trying to get the girls an Xbox One S for Christmas.
Yeah, it might be a good bundle.
But I keep pulling the whole like, I feel guilty because if we get it, that'd be the only thing they'd get. I'd be like, sorry, that was my budget for all 3 of you.
That's your present. Now leave me and my system the fuck alone.
So, and that would be my entire purpose too. But then, like, how do you explain that Mom bought the Xbox and Santa didn't bring anything else?
Well, it might be time to have the talk.
True.
Well, see, the number 1's old enough. She was like, do it. I'm good with that because she's 13. But number 2 and number 3 are not so willing.
Oh, man. Last bit of Xbox news I have was 2 more games were added to the backward compatibility list today. First one, Fable 2 pub games, which, cool, interesting little addition. I forgot I even, that game existed after I got the money to transfer over into Fable 2. I don't think I ever loaded up again.
Was that a product that came out before Fable 2, or was it like some kind of DLC or expansion?
It was like a month or 2 before Fable 2 came out. It was just like little mini games that you could earn money and transfer over to your character in the full game.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know
It's an
about
odd
that.
thing to make backward compatible.
I know, but hey, if they're working on it, but to go along with it, Fable Anniversary, finally part of the backward compatibility program.
Nice.
Dun, dun, dun.
So pretty much, I think the entire Fable series, except for that shitty Kinect game, is playable on Xbox One now.
Rip
I
Connect.
forgot all about the Kinect one.
We all did. And of course, in typical GameStop fashion, Fable Anniversary jumped from $25 to $30 today because GameStop.
Yeah.
Is Catherine going to start yelling at me?
She's in the other room now, so.
I'm just waiting to hear across your microphone, that motherfucker.
No, it's fine.
Some fun Nintendo news. They apparently upped their Switch production so that they're now shipping 2 million consoles a month.
Hooray!
Yeah.
And yet they will still be sold out.
They're getting a lot easier to find in my area. Like nearly every time I go to Best Buy, they've got them there. Every time I go to GameStop, they have a sign, we have Switches. I think they're finally starting to meet demand.
Yeah, or rather, they're starting to tire out the scalpers.
Maybe.
You're seeing less of those out there now because, yeah, people are starting to be able to get them. And it's funny, too, because I'm noticing that a lot of people have gotten a hold of that SNES Mini, but, you know, the ones that didn't pre-order, didn't get in line, didn't go out and buy it on the first run are all like, oh, Nintendo's still shorting us.
I don't know. When I went to GameStop in Best Buy that day, because I had mine pre-ordered, so I went to go pick mine up, everyone I talked to, they're like, yeah, we had like 60 of them today. So there were people showing up early afternoon still getting them.
Nice. Yeah, I think...
so lucky. The store here that's closest to us only got 3.
Oh, Jesus.
It was stupid. Because I
That
was
will
calling.
happen.
Yeah, I was trying to find one. My sister, she's not much of a gamer, but she remembers playing Nintendos when we were younger. And I say when we were younger, she's still 14 years older than me. So she remembers playing, you know, the Nintendos, and she's like, oh, I just want a Nintendo. And I was like, look, you can play Sonic and shit on Xbox. Just let me sell you on an Xbox. And she won't do it. She just wants a Nintendo. So of course she wants the thing that's the most difficult to fucking find.
I can't stop giggling over the fact that you said playing the Nintendos.
We played Nintendos when we had different ones.
With the
had
game
regular-
tapes?
With the,
Be kind,
well,
rewind.
listen to our 8 tracks.
Get the game paddles and the game tapes, and we'll play us some Nintendos. Is that Mario the Hedgehog?
Oh, goodness.
Last bit of news I have is that Capcom announced Street Fighter V Arcade Edition is going to be releasing January 16th on PS4 and Steam. It's going to release for $39.99 and include arcade mode, extra battle mode, new V-trigger moves, the gallery, new user interface, as well as all of the Season 1 and Season 2 DLC characters. If you already own Street Fighter V, all of that except the DLC characters is going to be part of a free update. And if you own an Xbox One, fuck you, because while PS4 could get Dead Rising 4, Xbox is still not going to get Street Fighter V because, I don't know, Capcom. What are you going to do?
What if the Xbox got Mega Man Legends 3?
Oh, that'd be... everyone should get Mega Man Legends 3. I've been saying for how long on this show, third-party exclusives need to fucking stop. So bring it everywhere. Let everybody play these games.
Exclusivity for third parties at all. Like I just think it's bad for gamers in general.
It is. It's bad for everybody. It's bad for developers a lot of times too, because if their game doesn't sell well on a platform that they were paid to be exclusive on, they're kind of fucked.
Like Lawbreakers. Yeah.
What, Lawbreakers was sitting at like 100 people a day?
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Cliffy.
It cuts out a huge portion of your potential base of customers, and I don't understand why developers do it at all, because it doesn't seem logical. But maybe they'd rather take the chance and get the money up front instead of worry that it wouldn't sell. But I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't fucking know. So anyway, we have a giveaway to take care of today. And this is for Raiders of the Broken Planet, the Alien Myths campaign pack. We have 3 codes of that to give away, and we have a handful of emails to go through. So since there's 3 codes and 3 of us, we each get to pick a winner. How cool is that?
What?
Yeah.
Oh no, pressure.
So get your notepad machines out and let's read some emails. We asked you to send us an email, tell us why you want this, and the best 3 people are going to get a copy of I'd say the game, but it's more like DLC. I mean, I'll give you a prologue code too, but that's a free to play, so it's not like you need that. Why do they do codes for free to play stuff? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Why did they make DLC codes for a free-to-play prologue? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, first email's from Aroto Tomato, who says, why I want the Thing-O-Ling-O-Ling, because I have been waiting a while now for the next big thing from the folks at Mercury Steam. After Castlevania Lords of the Shadow trilogy, I was hoping they'd be hired for a new Contra game, but since Konami is now super nice and awesome and loves everybody, that won't happen. So as a new IP, I can see the challenges were many. Taking a recognized franchise like Castlevania is both hard, but also more focused since you have some knowledge of what came before that. And that guides you. With Raiders of the Broken Planet, they have to show all of their creativity, show who really is Mercury Steam. And so far, I feel like I've seen enough reasons why I want to play this game. I like the graphics, I like the concept, I like the prologue, which is free to play, which we just covered. So I'm excited to check out the next part. Help a guy out, will ya? I also need some book recommendations. Got nothing to read but the shampoo bottle. You guys have any book recommendations for Aroto?
I mean, I largely...
I can't suggest one without giving away a very pertinent part of my personality that I'm not ready to divulge yet.
Interesting.
I largely just read like ancient political texts and history books. Go ahead and buy it. The Book of the Subgenius. I think you'll like it. It's a fake but very real religion.
Interesting.
Yeah, you worship a guy called, your main figurehead in it is a guy called Bob. He's a smiley clip art man with a pipe in his mouth.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's great reading.
All right, next email is from Robert M., who says, hi ho, yes, I would like to win the Alien Myths campaign from Broken Planet. I like the game and the free missions. I like to play more from these games and kick another round of alien balls. Thanks for the chance. So, kick alien balls.
Okay.
Short and to the point. Next email is from John Powers, who says, so this may not be the best reason ever, but it's an honest one. I wasn't overly impressed with the initial free prologue episodes, and I would like to see if the game picks up any with the Alien Myths campaign. That's about it. Thanks for the opportunity. Honesty, that works. Wants to see if it gets better. Next email is from Latino Heat, who I believe is still hanging out in the chat, who says, good evening to the SML podcast. If given the opportunity, I'd like to play as an antagonist. I'd enjoy teaming up alongside the bad guys and help them crush and stop the raiders from finding the protectors. Me being used to always being the good guy in everything I do here in this game, I can finally enjoy being bad and actually have fun punishing the raiders. Then I'll be able to experience on how being the bad guy never felt so good. If given the opportunity by the kind folks of the SML podcast. So wants to be the bad guy.
Well, he's already got the sucking up to people in power aspect of it. I want to be a villain. Thanks to the nice people at SML podcast.
I like No Pulse asking if you were going to say 50 Shades of Grey for your book. It was, wasn't it?
No, I got better taste than that.
Oh no, it was Twilight?
Mm-mm.
I bet it was Twilight.
No, I did read Twilight. I even went and saw it in the theater, but I wasn't enamored by it. However, I do have a penchant for vampire books, and it was a vampire-related book. So I will confess that.
Oh, man. All right, next email is from Daniel McCammon, who says, I would love Alien Myth for Raiders of the Broken Planet. I was lucky enough to play the beta a few months ago, and I really enjoyed the Mad Max meets sci-fi style of the game. Plus, it gave me a Warframe vibe. Speaking of which, I should go back to Warframe sometime. Thanks for the reminder. Enjoyed the game, wants to play Warframe. Next.
Well, if he doesn't win, he has a backup.
True, very true. Because Warframe is free to play as well. Next email is from John Harvey, who sent a fucking novel here. So this might be a good book for Orono. I'd like the Alien Myths campaign for Rares of the Broken Planet, please, but I've always found the why you want it question so hard. Why do we want the things we want? Well, in my case, there's probably a few things about this game that caught my eye. Probably the first thing is that it has a sci-fi setting. This is guaranteed to make me take notice. I've loved all things science fiction since I was a kid, so it will always grab my attention. A dystopian future where people are fighting for resources can provide a great backdrop for some amazing stories. Plus, the game's title implies that I'll be raiding a smashed-up world. I certainly want to experience that. I like the look of the people you get to play as. The ones I've seen are mostly cool-looking and full of character. They seem to each have a different focus and play style, at least enough to make me want to try them all out. I tend to mostly play single-player games, but this one looks like I'd have fun playing the online modes of. Everyone working together to take down the baddie or do the mission causes friendships to start, and you usually meet interesting people. You also get to be the baddie. Relatively rare in games, getting to be on the wrong side is nice for a change. Role-playing as evil is just so much fun, and taking down the good team in a 4v1 will feel great. When all is said and done, it seems like something I'd enjoy. I'd like to see what happens in the story, and please, and it might finally get me to start making friends on Xbox. I usually try to write something funny, strange, or sarcastic around about now, but this is a sincere answer to why I want it, so I'll just end with some bad alien puns instead, because I know how much you love them. How do you put together a party for an alien world?
How?
You plan it. Why did the Martian throw beef at the asteroid?
I can't even fathom.
He wanted it to be meteor. What do you call an alien prostitute?
Oh my, what do you call an alien prostitute?
A UFO.
Oh.
Thanks as always for the chance, and good luck to everyone who enters.
I'm taking away points for that last joke.
Final entry is from our third John of the night, who's John Prudlow, who says, just downloaded this game because it looked really interesting. Honestly, I've not started the prologue yet, but will be playing it shortly. I'd love to play more of it with friends in the Alien Myths campaign. Thanks for your consideration. Wants to play with friends. So, to recap, Aroto is a fan of Mercury Steam and wants to see the next chapter, and also wants book suggestions. Robert M. wants to kick alien balls. John Powers wants to see if it gets better. Latino Heat wants to be the bad guy. Daniel McCammon enjoyed the game and wants to play Warframe. John Harvey sent some bad puns, and John Prudlow wants to play with friends. Do you guys have any favorites?
I think Daniel needs to win one so that he doesn't play Warframe, because I didn't like Warframe, and I don't think anybody needs to be subjected to more Warframe.
So is that your pick?
That's my pick.
All right, so Daniel McCammon wins a copy. Chris, do you have any favorites?
Gotta give it to Mr. Alien Puns. He's very philosophical, wants to make friends. Who doesn't want to make friends?
So you were going with John Harvey.
Yeah, give him one.
That was going to be my pick as well. So let's see.
Right.
Third winner between Aroto, who is a fan and wants to see the next chapter. Robert M., who wants to kick alien balls. John Powers wants to see if it gets better. Latino wants to be the bad guy. John Prudlow wants to play with friends. I think I got to go with alien balls.
All right.
I think kicking alien balls, it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, and you want to kick alien balls. So...
Sometimes alien balls just need to be kicked.
Indeed. Robert M., Daniel McCammon, John Harvey, you are 3 winners. Congratulations. You will be getting a code in your inbox shortly, whenever I fucking get around to it. So how do you like that?
You'll never get them.
Speaking of contests, I guess this is a good time to announce the SMLoween contest for 2017. Indeed, SMLoween 2017. We've been doing big giveaways like this. I think last year we did it closer to Christmas, but the year before was a Halloween giveaway. Every time we do one of these, we're lucky enough to have the guys at Capcom send us a really cool prize. And this year, I think they outdid themselves when I emailed them like, hey, I'm going to be doing another Halloween contest. Would you be interested in sending something? I thought maybe we would get like, Dead Rising 2 or Dead Rising 1, like one of the older games, maybe Resident Evil Revelations, which, another $20 game. No, they sent us Resident Evil 7. So they are not fucking around. On top of that, we've interviewed a handful of horror people on this show over the years. We've covered a number of horror and survival horror games. Cole, I think you've covered about 90% of them.
I was going to say, do I have a mouse in my pocket?
It's the collective we. It's like a group thing. And we have amassed a pretty decent collection of games that are up for grabs. And they're all going to be available. One person who enters this contest is going to win everything. And then because so many people were cool and sent us multiple copies of games, we're at the point where I think as long as you enter this contest, you will probably get at least a game. So if you're looking to boost your horror collection on Xbox One, this is the contest you're going to want to enter. So I guess I should give the details, huh?
Tell us how to get PRP.
You got the fake enthusiasm is amazing. Sure, tell us what you want to do. This year, what you need to do is you need to send an email to thesmlpodcast@gmail.com, and you need to tell me the worst, scariest nightmare you have ever had in your life. And the reason I'm going with this is because earlier this week, I had one of the worst nightmares I've ever had in my life. I woke up crying, actually. I was fucked up for like 2 days because of this nightmare, because in my dream, I was forced to sedate my cats and burn them alive. How's that for a fucking nightmare?
Man, that's rough.
So,
It is.
yeah, that like really messed with my head for most of the week. And, now that I lost a friend tonight, it's just making everything so much better. So I want you to email us and tell us the worst nightmare you have ever had. Don't give us something shitty like, ooh, a monster like chased me or I fell. Like, we need to hear something that's really like fucked up, scary, that affected you on a personal level. Like
we need to fear pee.
We need fear pee. You had to wake up, either sweating or wet from other bodily fluids, I guess. Either tears, urine, vomit, whatever. Fear poops, whatever you got to do. Because we have a massive prize pack. I already mentioned Resident Evil 7. This is the list of games that we've got so far. And we have pretty much all month to go at this. But right now we have Resident Evil 7, Narcosis, Emily Wants to Play, Nevermind, Sheltered, The Escapists Walking Dead, The Coma Recut, Don't Knock Twice, The Bunker, The Walking Dead in Pinball FX3, Infinite Mini Golf because they have a Haunted Mansion in there, Artifacts Mundi sent Enigmatis 2, Eventide 2, Nightmares from the Deep 2, and Dark Arcana. We have White Knight, Let Them Come, Observer, Crimson Land, and King Oddball, because I just found out King Oddball apparently has Halloween levels if you played around this time of the year.
Lovely.
So yeah, all of those games, you could win all of those if you send us the best email. You have until, let me check the calendar here, you have until the 25th to get your emails in, again, to the smlpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget the. A lot of people forget that. If you don't have the smlpodcast@gmail.com, it's not getting to us. Winners will be drawn on the 26th, or at least the winner. And again, best one takes everything.
And oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you can go.
I was just going to say, if you haven't had any nightmares lately, just make sure to eat plenty of cold pizza before going to sleep for the next 20 days.
Something spicy and wait it out.
Cold pizza does it?
That's what I heard as a kid.
Like cold pizza. I think they just didn't want you eating cold pizza. Like listeria is a thing, so.
They just didn't want you eating their pizza. It's like, leave the pizza for me, you bitch.
Basically.
When I was a teenager, I went to a friend's house and we ate cold pizza as like a midnight snack because we were just, we were badasses like that. And I thought that it would give me nightmares because that was the old wives' tale I was given. But in fact, in real life, a scorpion stung me on the neck.
Holy shit.
So that's what happens when you eat cold pizza. Real things come and attack you.
Damn.
Yeah. That was fun.
That is pretty crazy. But we should probably jump to reviews, huh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my phone's getting into the danger zone.
Why didn't you knew we were going to be recording. Why didn't you charge it?
I know. I did have it on charge, but it's broken and it's not wanting to charge properly. Like you have to put a pen underneath the charger to hold it up and off, but it'll stay. And so like if a kid bumped it or something, it's like all over.
Well, hopefully it lasts for you because we have a bunch of games to get through. We're going to kick things off with the game Ruiner, developed by Reikon Games, published by Devolver Digital, released September 26th on Xbox One, PS4, and Steam for $19.99. Ruiner is a brutal action shooter set in the year 2091 in the cyber metropolis Rengkok, I think. A wired sociopath lashes out against a corrupt system to uncover the truth and retrieve his kidnapped brother under the guidance of a secretive hacker friend. This game plays pretty much like a top-down or more isometric view twin-stick shooter with melee and special abilities. It felt, when I first saw it felt kind of like a Diablo-style game, but as I played it, it was definitely a lot more... I heard a dog.
Donovan.
Oh, Donovan. It had a lot more... I felt more comfortable playing at melee. I thought I had a lot of trouble actually trying to aim with guns and hit people because the enemies seemed to dart around a lot and move really quickly, where trying to shoot them, even with some aim assist and some lock-on, it just felt really tough trying to hit things. You go through a stage, wipe out all the enemies. It kind of felt like wave-based, where you would get to an arena area, a bunch of enemies would swarm you, take them all out, move on, and rinse and repeat. Go through a couple of areas, fight some bosses along the way. In between the main missions, there's a town hub that you could go to, where you can find some mini side quests that you could pick up to do on missions, or you could talk to people, wander around. Nothing like super in depth like you would find in an actual RPG. This is definitely more of an action game first and foremost. There's RPG elements in there, but it's, first and foremost an action game. I loved the style of this game. It had a really cool, like a trash polka style with like words popping up everywhere, heavy reds, heavy blacks. I had a lot of fun with it. I wasn't too big a fan of the controls. I had a lot of difficulty like grasping all the different abilities. It felt like even in the prologue, the tutorial section, they just kept throwing more and more and more stuff at you that you had to learn. And half of the abilities and half of the things in the game, I don't even fuck with. I just shoot things, hit things, and rarely ever use my abilities. Cole, I know you played it. What did you think?
I really liked it. I had a lot of the same feelings as you did toward the abilities and stuff. I just skipped a lot of them. I kind of took what was stock. You said you were more into the melee combat, though, and that's one thing that I like about it is that you can choose, because I did much better with the gunplay. And I struggled when they would get on top of me to be able to move around. Then I could just dash out of that kind of scenario and shoot them from afar, and I did much better.
Yeah.
One thing, though, that did bother me about the game is that it kind of feels like every level, regardless of whether you're in a parking garage or in a club or... and in fact, it all feels like it's just a dilapidated factory. It's really hard to tell, like, if any of the scenes are actually somewhere different. It's just all very bleak and similar, and it kind of gets a little repetitive. Other than that, my only major complaint was the second boss. The rhythm on it is really bad. There's an achievement for completing the game with no deaths.
Oh yeah,
and
fuck
then
that.
One for completing it with 666 deaths. That one's far more likely for just everybody, because that you will get 665 of them from that second boss, and you won't even have to try.
Are you talking about that king dude?
No, the mother unit.
Oh, all right. Yeah, in the second stage, because I thought you were talking about like the actual final boss of that level, but.
No.
Oh yeah, with those fucking laser blasts. Oh,
the mother unit just does not play well, and you can't really, like, it's erratic, and I felt like I couldn't learn the pattern no matter what I did. I was just, I'd spawn and get zapped,
Yeah.
just constantly, and I was like, oh my god, fuck off.
I wasn't a fan of the fact that you pretty much needed to have the shield ability for that fight, although it did lead me to appreciate the fact that if you put your skill points into a certain ability and you were like, oh shit, I needed this ability instead, you can just remove those ability points or those skill points and put them somewhere else. There's no
penalty for changing it up.
You're not locked into anything.
At the same time, sometimes it felt like you had to just stop and adjust your abilities a lot, and then it kind of cut into the actions. Like, I don't want to deal with the shield right now. I just want to fuck some people up.
Yeah. And that's why I really didn't mess with any of the special abilities that much, because it felt like everything I picked, I'm like, am I going to use that? Am I really going to care about that? What if I need this? And fuck it, I just won't use anything.
Yeah. I did the same thing.
And then my other big gripe with the game is it needs voice acting. There is so much text in the game. A lot of the red text blends in with the backgrounds. It feels so lifeless without the voice acting. Yeah,
it was a shock to me that the cinematics, especially the cutscenes and stuff, they're just so well done. And I remember loading it up and I was like, whoa, because I didn't expect that from what I'd seen from the cutscene or from the trailers and stuff. And I was just like, that's the actual cinematics. And then it's just silent.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, that was lackluster. But it's I agree with you. It just needs just a little something in the voice department.
Yeah, I don't know if voice acting would be something easy that could be added to the game, but I don't know, it needs more to it than just occasional grunts or the one girl calling you puppy every now and then.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I really did enjoy the game. I think the difficulty, even on the easier settings, there's just a lot of unfair deaths that you're going to get in the game. So trying to get that deathless achievement, good fucking luck.
But you get to hack cats.
True, you do get to hack cats. I got the achievement for hacking all the cats today.
Did you? I haven't got the achievement for... I'm missing a couple of them.
How?
Driving me nuts. They're up on that rooftop.
Oh, I could help you get those.
Dumb.
I could help you get those. Overall, $20. I got to give it a try. It's a lot of fun, but it's just missing those little few things to make it a really great game in my eyes. And then even when you're done, I believe there's a new game plus mode, but I don't know if it would be worth going back through again, since, there's no randomized elements to it. You're just going to be playing the same stages. Possibly
trying to get better scores.
Yeah,
because after each fight you get a letter grade.
Yeah, either get better scores or try getting that deathless run. But I still give it a try. I think it's a lot of fun. Possibly wait for a sale on it. What do you think, Cole?
I agree. Try it. It's a very recommended try because I thought it played well, even though it was difficult and had its issues.
Yeah. Agreed.
I enjoyed it.
All right, next game to talk about is called Galaxy of Pen and Paper. Developed and published by Behold Studios. It released July 27th on Steam for $14.99, so this is a little bit of an older one. Galaxy of Pen and Paper is a turn-based meta RPG about a group of players rolling dice in the year 1999. Oh god, my youth. Create your own game master and RPG party as they roleplay, explore distant planets in their imagination, fight weird aliens, and save the galaxy in the era of dial-up internet and floppy disks. Chris, what did you think of Galaxy of Pen and Paper?
We had broadband in 1999. Come on. But I think maybe that reference.
Yeah, Redneck Land definitely did not.
Yeah, no, I was in Redneck Land, but my friends had broadband. I think that maybe that reference, though, could be because the developer is Brazilian. Once again, you've given me a Brazilian game. I didn't. I think it's a different company too. So that's really interesting. Okay, so Galaxy of Pen and Paper. This one is, yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, the best way to describe it is that it is a pen and paper RPG simulator, but itself is a game. So, everything is mouse interface. You just click on stuff. I don't think there's any controller controls to be had. What you do is you start up the game, and it's you and a friend and your other friend who's the GM. And you create all three characters. You determine their look, their costumes, and the DM is just basically you just decide what they look like. I chose a kind of Asian-looking girl, and I dressed her up like the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who. That's not weird at all.
Did you give her a fucked up name like you usually do?
I actually, because I was pressed for time, because I streamed my entire experience, which, by the way, you can find on my Twitch archives. Let's, self-plug there. Yeah, I borrowed one of the names from my Elmanage and my other D&D style games, so my GM was Tilda Dunkaroos, who's made her triumphant return. And Liar Exaggerate, which is that's my handle pretty much everywhere, was my hero, who was a let me see if I can remember, a human hacker, and what was the type? So you determine your race, and your race, of course, being human, alien, or simian, which is kind of a more simian-style human, the jutting lower jaw and the pointy teeth and such. And you determine your skill set, which you could be a hacker, you can be a slayer, and it adds different stats to your pool, if you will. So everything that you choose has a consequence in how your character is going to grow. And then last but not least, you decide on your style of friendship, essentially. So you've got the buddy, who's like, hey guys, I brought popcorn, things like that. So actual personality traits that translate into stats. And so Liar Exaggerate was my main. It was a human, I don't remember the other thing. And then I had my buddy, who was Flint Mancave. And he is a simian buddy fighter type. I don't remember what the fighter type was called. It was basically a heavy tank. And that turned out to be a really good combination. So once you get everybody together, you're just sitting there at the table with the GM, and they sit there and read you an actual pen and paper style scenario that gets set up, and everything but the table and the players kind of dissolves into the actual landscape of what's being described. So essentially the background is your imagination. And the way you play through that is that once, let's say, a battle starts, which you can choose to start battles, and you just have this requirement in a certain quest to defeat a certain amount of enemies, and you just decide when and where you want to fight them and how many at the same time, and you get bonuses for larger battles if you choose them. Or you can be like me and be a coward and fight one at a time and just, flick them out of the way until you're done. But then, you don't experience a whole lot of growth very quickly that way. So, and when you choose to fight, then it actually takes you to a battle screen where, your characters fight, and nearly everything in the game is rolled in a dice on the screen, which you can actually see. And it goes really in depth and actually has this really cool bridge between the meta world, that is to say the one in which your players, occupy, and the simulation world, that is to say the world inside where you're playing. So it winds up being really engrossing, but at the same time, you can very easily be taken right back out of it, and you're sitting there with your friends and your, no joke, Lion-O action figure. And let's see, what is there? I think there's a Prince Adam or a He-Man statue in the other corner. They're silhouetted, so you can't really tell. So the style of humor in this game is very much, it's like an Ernest Cline book, like, Ready Player One or Armada. It's just like tons and tons and tons of little references being dropped here and there. But because this is a video game, they don't just blatantly name things. They more or less, like, like how on a cooking show, if they're talking about like a Rice Krispie treat, they have to say
a crisp rice. A
crispy, yeah, like they have to say a cereal bar or a crispy rice treat. Like they have to say something else. So that's kind of how this game is. It drops a ton of nerdy references. Like, you can equip a sonic screwdriver, but it's called something else. But the way it's described is like, what it is. And so, in that sense, it's very tongue-in-cheek as well. They're like, we aren't saying what this is, but you definitely get it.
I love the fact that this isn't like a Dungeons and Dragons video game. It's a video game about playing Dungeons and Dragons. Exactly,
and that's already a really neat concept, which, by the way, this studio has explored before. They also have, I think it's called Knights of Pen and Paper, where they actually do put it in a medieval setting. So this isn't their first time doing the meta RPG. But the main strength of this, and, I wanted to make sure to point this out, is the gosh darn soundtrack. As a video game music fan myself, obviously I'm always on the lookout for a good soundtrack. The one in this game is the most fantastically, like, late 80s synth and guitar lead, like, just balls out rock, like, everything. Like, the soundtrack is downright impressive. Like, even if you don't download this game, go, they've uploaded it all to YouTube, so go listen to the soundtrack at least. Like, the opening track sounds like an Aerosmith song. Like, I think they straight up stole the keyboards from Jump.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so definitely play this one with headphones on, because it is an audio treat.
Nice. So I guess the only thing left to ask, $15, what is your verdict?
No, go play it. I mean, absolutely go get it, because there's nothing else you're going to find like this, really. I mean, not that I've seen. And it is an experience definitely worth having. It's got a little bit of that old PC style, like traveling between worlds and sort of like, managing resources and stuff. And you can straight up grind in the game. But ultimately, it's all about like just seeing what all the adventures are and seeing these like crazy scenarios come up. And some of them actually have pretty good little storylines. As good as any pen and paper game is going to be.
Nice. I might have to look into this one.
Yeah, and as I personally don't have any pen and paper RPG experience, like in the real world, I can tell you that you don't need to know that stuff. It's very well explained to you. You just have to know the basic gist, which I don't think any aspect of it wasn't explained by the game.
Gotcha.
So, very easy to pick up.
Cool. All right, moving on. Next game to talk about is called theHunter: Call of the Wild, developed by Expansive Worlds, published by Avalanche Studios, distributed by THQ Nordic, released October 2nd on Xbox One and PS4 for $39.99, Steam for $29.99. Experience the thrill of the hunt in a visually breathtaking, technically groundbreaking, vast open world. Immerse yourself in the atmospheric single-player campaign or share the ultimate hunting experience with friends. Cole, I would ask you what you thought about this game, but I don't think you got to play it, did you?
I played some.
Did you?
And so I tag teamed this with my husband because he played much, much more than I got to. It got to a point where we were kind of fighting over the Xbox for it. It is a very hyper-realistic hunting simulator. The kind of hunting games that we're used to seeing on the Xbox, and my husband has bought every one of them because these are his things. You think of Big Buck Hunter and Cabela's, and they're all very arcadey. The deer just basically run across you and you try to hit it, and that's that. This is actual hunting simulation to the finest details. This is the kind of hunting game we don't see enough of. And not only is it, a niche in and of itself, it's a really good one. It's incredibly well done. There are 2 worlds to choose from. One being a hunting reserve in Germany, the other a hunting reserve in the Pacific Northwest. The worlds are absolutely gorgeous. You would think this was a $60 game just by looking at these huge open worlds that have been created. And you're talking maybe a 50 square mile area each for these worlds. They're expansive. You get to start off. You can
Chris, what the hell are you doing?
I'm muting my thing if it's going to be bothersome. I might be playing Super Nintendo. I don't know.
I just keep hearing like clicks and pops and bumps. Like, what the fuck? And I see the light on your Skype thing just flickering.
Are you playing Duck Hunt? Are you inspired to hunt?
He's using a zapper during. He's like, hunting? Goddamn right, I'm going to hunt.
I can get my Super Scope down and Yoshi Safari it up.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't take up too much. Or it doesn't make too much noise. I'll mute my microphone. You guys keep talking about this awesome game. It sounds great.
Now, where the fuck was I? I have notes and I'm gone.
I don't know. Something about hunting.
Okay, so you start off. You have to play the tutorial single player to start with. It's your only choice. You start off by choosing your character. You can choose male or female, which I give them bonus points for. You can also choose. You can choose some cosmetic things. Basically, all the characters are the same template, and they'll have you can see a little bit of the hair color is changed, or the skin tone will be darker, or what have you. But it's not over the top customization. It's first person, so it's not a huge ordeal anyway, but it is nice that, you can choose. Especially because hunting games tend to forgo that aspect. So, you can choose your character. Once you've chosen your character and you're in the tutorial world, it'll explain to you how to use the basic items in the game, which is, you have your hunter mate, which is basically a smartphone, and it will, it's a smartphone that serves as your mini map, but also you'll get text messages that will have missions that you can complete for the story. These will be, sometimes it's, go hunt a certain type of deer in this area, or just go take a picture of a deer for somebody who's writing a book about wildlife. So there's a variety of missions that will come up and do, and you don't have to do those at all. You can say fuck off to the missions and just free roam these huge giant landscapes, picking off whatever you'd like. But it does take hunting right down to its nitty-gritty details. Like you have to track the prints, and it can tell you what animal you're tracking, or you may come across some waste, animal waste, and it can tell you if it's fresh or if it's old and if you're on the right track. There's two options when it comes to the tracking. One being to have a particle and glow, and another to have a glow. But there's also the option to turn those glows off. If you want hardcore hunting, or you even have to look for your tracks, that's an option. And that's actually how my husband was playing, and I think he's crazy. Because I need big giant blue outlines.
He's hardcore.
He was. He was absolutely loving it. He was so immersed in it. You can earn money and XP. Money is typically earned from doing the story missions, and then you can use that to buy outposts that you can set up so that you're able to get a better view using your binoculars and what have you. You can rent a cabin and set an alarm clock to pass forward time if you need to hunt at night for a particular reason, or if you need to hunt in the morning, then you can pass time. But it does cost in-game money to speed up the time like that. So it does, in a way, guide you back to doing those missions. But you also earn XP and stuff just from free roam, hunting as well.
So it sounds like an open world hunting RPG.
In a way, because you, even as you earn experience, you unlock skill points, and then you can improve. There's certain perks that you can get for your hunter where, he has better visibility during rain, or you can hear better during the rain. The rain gets muted and you can hear animals a little louder. Or the tracks will tell you more information, like what's the gender or the age of the deer, based on things that I don't understand in hunting. that kind of stuff started to go over my head. I was like, oh, look, it gives me details. I like that. I don't know how or why, but I like that. The one great thing about it was that it was, what's the word I'm looking for? Available, not available, but I was able to play it as more of a novice hunter. I mean, I've hunted with my husband, and I'm familiar from hearing him talk about it, but it was still accessible to me to play. And then it was able to be scaled up in difficulty that he enjoyed it as well.
Can I say that I'm absolutely shocked to hear that you've been hunting?
Really? Really?
No, not at all.
Okay. I just thought the accent would be a dead giveaway that I've pulled the trigger a time or two.
Yeah, that's the joke. So I guess the question is, for $40, what does D think about the game?
We give it a buy it, especially since it has online multiplayer for up to 8 people. So buy it, and
which is cool in a hunting game. You don't see that much in hunting games. It really is.
And there's the option, again, you choose. You can either free roam and hunt as you choose, and take, there's everything from red foxes to bears and everything in between. So you can hunt as you want, or you can try to complete these challenges and get better scores on them than your friends. And you have up to 8 people.
Sounds good. Maybe we'll go hunting together.
Go hunting with me.
Virtually.
I'll tell you things I don't understand. Look, it's a deer skull, and it makes this noise. I don't know why.
A deer skull makes noise?
A deer call.
I thought you said a deer skull.
No, but, well, to be fair, we do use antlers and make I don't know if that was in the game. You do pick up, there's collectible antlers. They call them sheds. We just call them antlers. But we use them to make rattling horns, and you tie 2 together and rattle them. It sounds like bucks that are fighting, and other bucks will come try to figure out why.
That was the most southern thing I've ever heard you say. You get the deer antlers and you make rattling horns.
Yeah.
Just needed
It's
a
a
gall
thing.
dern in there somewhere.
Gosh darn it.
Moving on, next game to talk about is called Let Them Come, developed by Tuatara Games, published by Versus Evil, released October 3rd on Xbox One and Steam for $7.99. It'll be coming to the PS4 later on this month. Twitchy trigger fingers and focused battle tactics are the order of the day as wave after wave of alien-like creatures try to take you down. Gameplay is simple to pick up but hard to master. Only the best of the best will survive to fight another day. Let Them Come is a fast and furious pixel-style shooter on steroids. It is also basically Wave Shooter, the video game. Basically, you're a dude in, I guess, a rundown space station or just a rundown area that's infested with monsters, and you camp out at a chain gun. And you're on the left-hand side of the screen. Monsters come in from the right side of the screen, and you shoot them. It's on a 2D plane, so the only thing you're doing is aiming up and down. You'll eventually get like a melee button with the B button, or melee with the B button. You'll get throwable grenades or Molotov cocktails, stuff like that. Normally, your shooting is on the left trigger, so for the first half of the game, you could basically just play it one-handed, aiming with the left stick and shooting with the left trigger. As things get harder, they do have secondary ammo, which will be on the right trigger, which, that will be limited. The standard ammo is unlimited. And it's basically kill a wave of monsters. In between waves, you can use the money that you've earned to buy new upgrades or passive abilities or ammo, equipment, whatever else, and you just keep going. Every 25 stages, there's going to be a boss fight. You're going to fight a boss. Hopefully you beat him. After you beat the boss, you move to a whole new area and repeat the process. They also have a handful of challenge modes in the game, either different boss rush challenges where you have to try taking down a boss as quick a time as you can, or just like a survive as long as you can kind of mode. It's a very simplistic game in concept, but it really is one of those things where, you have to make sure that you pick the right equipment. You have to pick the right weapons, the right passive abilities, upgrade them the right way. And if you die, then you use your money and try getting better and try living longer and just keep going. It's fairly lenient in the fact that, when you die, you just pick up at the stage you left off. If you die without even beating a stage, it'll give you an option to either like shuffle up the enemies that appear in case a couple of the enemies there are giving you problems, or they'll give you a free bonus. Normally in the game, you have a combo meter, and when that fills up, you'll have a choice of 3 different bonuses, whether it's like a one-shot score boost, or they'll have time-limited things like a turret will come and help you for a little bit, shooting either bullets or missiles. You could get double damage or double score. There's a frenzy where you just like shoot massive bullets, super powerful bullets for a set amount of seconds. One of the fun things I thought was with those bonuses, where when you select which one, the box that it's in fills up from the bottom, and the higher you get to 100%, the better the bonus is. Like if you hit something right away and you get like a good bonus, it'll last maybe 5-10 seconds. The higher up it goes, your bonus will last longer, or it'll be more effective. The one-time bonus points will be a lot bigger, or the turret or the frenzy or whatever else will last much longer. If you wait too long and it goes over 100, you basically get the worst bonus, which will last maybe like 2 seconds. It's fucking pointless. So it at least mixes things up and gives you something different to do when you hit that combo and you get the bonus. Gameplay wise, the only gripe I really have is I wish there was some kind of sensitivity level for moving up and down. Too many times it felt like I was trying to aim somewhere and I was just either too high or too low, and every time I would move it would go way too far. So I wish they had some kind of sensitivity settings in the game to adjust that to make it easier to aim. Other than that, for $8, it's a buy it. It's simple, it's fun, it's addictive. There's leaderboards, so you could try beating your friends and see if you do better than them, or laughing at them when you see how bad they are. But $8, it's cheap enough that just get it. It's a lot of fun, really cool, and worth picking up.
Nice.
Next game to talk about is called Twin Robots, developed by Thin Ice Games, published by Radaleka Games. Released October 3rd on PS4 and PS Vita for $4.99 and is a cross-buy title. Twin Robots is a platformer where you control two little robots. They have been imprisoned and need to find the way out of each level. You can play alone or with a friend in local co-op multiplayer so that each player controls one robot. Our friend Greg Middleton wrote in a review for this one, and Chris, you're going to read it.
Hooray!
So you do that.
I almost read the line that you added. Which is,
put down the SNS controller.
I did. What are you talking about? I have no idea. I was playing Jax. No. Yeah, I almost read the line that says, "I'm making you read an email tonight," and I was like, "What a way to open an email!" And I realized that was your note when you sent me the review to read. Okay.
Cole, are you going to read that line too?
Is it in there? Yep.
All right, here's the Twin Robots PlayStation 4 review by Greg Middleton. You begin the game controlling the twin robots in a building with level after level full of traps and puzzles. At the beginning, you can only go through the level with one of the robots as the other one is trapped in a room with the ceiling coming down to crush its robot ass. Made me curse on the internet.
Oh, no.
You have limited time to find the stop button in the level to free your robot buddy. Once you press that button, you can freely move it to reunite the two before making your way to the end of the level. While you're doing this cycle of gameplay throughout all the levels, you have to be careful of the battery life that your robots have, as jumping or getting hurt will drain the battery. The only way to energize them is to run over lit-up pads that are scattered throughout each level. You also need a certain amount to open the end level door to escape. It's a balancing act, but thankfully there is usually enough energy pads within each level to have at least one of the robots survive to the door and successfully open it. There are 28 levels in total, and in just under 4 hours I had finished this platformer. That is with breaks and leaving the game idle for a while, so you could realistically say 2 to 3 hours if you blasted through it. The graphics are very basic, and the sound I didn't really notice, so I could say it was subtle. But with all that aside, I played 12 levels, then sat at the menu and thought, alright, one more level, and then proceeded to complete nearly all of them before turning it off and going to bed. Mainly due to how easy it is to play and how quick the levels are, which clock in at around 2 to 3 minutes, I kept playing and was enjoying it.
Yay!
There is a little bit to do after you've completed the game, replay levels to free both robots if you'd only saved one or beat your previous times. Now I have played one Radaleka game before. It was Plantera on PS Vita. Man, that game had me hooked. But in comparison to this new title from them, it doesn't have the addictive legs. But I would say for the price, it's a fuck it, why not? I cuss on the internet again. It's cheap and I enjoyed it. Reviewed by Greg Middleton.
Sounds good. Yeah, it looks cute and $5. I mean, you can't go wrong with a $5 game, right?
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I ever have.
Oh, they're cheap enough.
It's true. It's it's the price of like a milkshake.
True. Oh, that's the beauty of
good milkshake.
That's the beauty of the fuck it, why not rating.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, next game to talk about is called Orange Moon, developed by Beetlejuice Zero, published by Meridian 4, released out of Steam Early Access on September 27th for $9.99. Orange Moon is a surreal 2D action platformer with RPG elements and complex puzzles. Take on the role of an explorer as you discover the mysterious world of Orange Moon, filled with hostile native life forms and harsh, treacherous environments. To increase your chances of survival, choose from a variety of weapons, equipment, and upgrades to aid your dangerous exploration. Can you uncover all of Orange Moon's secrets? Well, we will find out because our friend Dark Mika wrote in a review as well. And Eternal, you're going to read this one.
I am. You're gonna make me read it.
Yep,
It
I
says
am.
so right here in the email.
Damn right.
Orange Moon is a Metroidvania type game with an RPG-esque aspect to it in the form of an upgrade tree. You play as a man sent to the Orange Moon. A company laid out plans and built facilities there to get resources. In the future, you're sent there because something has happened, which will be explained in small bits via short transitions that I think this was retransmissions, that you get in most levels. There's no VAs. It's all done in voice acting. It's all done in text and in small blocks in each level. However, you don't really need the story if you don't want it. You can ignore it. The game is a very mild platformer. More just shooty, kill. There are secret areas, usually not too hard to find as long as you're actively searching for them. The levels are of varying lengths, but most of them are less than easy, especially levels that have bosses. They're fucking hard to kill, even with some upgraded weapons, which is what the upgrade skill tree mostly is. There's also upgrades for fuel and health, etc.
Shooty, kill.
That's our new hashtag.
Fantastic.
That's my favorite genre.
It has controller support, but it's meh. The jumping controls are good because it's like trying to use a D-pad with the analog stick. Straight up is the only way to jump. There's no diagonal with the controller. On keyboard, you can, by pushing side and up at the same time. You can, by pushing side and up at the same time. Personally, I prefer mouse and keyboard for this one. It makes the game easier. Also, aiming is better with the mouse than with the controller. Let me just point out, I'm a console player. I love my goddamn controllers, and I will use it any chance I get on everything. So when I say the controller doesn't work for this, trust me, it really doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm the
Chris
same
is
kind of
worried
player
about
where
that ass.
I need controllers for everything.
Yeah, I struggle when I have to use the mouse. I'm like, what is this contraption? It's not a thing. For
Mice are for
Achievement
Facebook.
Hunter. Wait.
Oh, nothing.
For Achievement Hunters, some of these are easy, but others are very stupidly hard. Upgrades in ammo are bought by killing enemies and getting some material from them. You have to max out your character, and there's another one for not buying any upgrades, which is going to be the one that's stupidly hard. Even with upgrades, killing the bosses is really hard. No health or ammo is replenished between levels. At the end of the level, you can choose to replay the level to collect anything you missed, or continue forward. If you choose to replay, you literally replay it fresh. All the upgrades you got during that level are gone. Any health or ammo is gone. You go right back to how you were at the start of that level. So you have to refight everything. Didn't we have the same complaint about that in Pressure Overdrive?
Yeah.
And I lost my place.
So you
Yeah,
have to
you wanna do
refight
another-
everything, refind all the secrets.
Yep. You have to refight everything, refind all the secrets as well as the missed ones. Thankfully, everything is in the same area no matter what, as the game is not procedurally made or anything. Secrets you want to find because they have upgrade points, material, and ammo in them. Honestly, I'd love them to update so you could replay the level you just beat, but keep all your upgrades and those removed from the map. So you only had to find the new ones in the areas where you couldn't find the secrets. Would make levels easier and let you find stuff more easily.
And then
Overall-
seriously, like, I hate having to replay a stage to find stuff, but having to basically replay it fresh, ugh.
That's ass. That's always just ass. Overall, the game is visually fairly nice and bleak. It's a dead alien landscape of a moon. It's been fun so far. I haven't managed to finish it even with the hours I've put into it. There are lots of save points, and you can always go back to that point and save again. And they're fairly well spaced most of the time. So you can work at making a perfect run to keep as much health and save as much ammo material as possible from save point to save point. My only issues are, number 1, the controller just doesn't work well as stated earlier. And number 2, sometimes aiming catches. So only one or your 2 weapons aims where you want it, and the other just aimed where it was previously. This is a random thing, and moving the aim a bit causes it to unstick the gun. I'm sure they'll patch it when they figure out why it's doing it, as it has had a few patches since I've started playing it. I have to say, for $10, this is a total buy it. Currently, it's on sale as well, so yeah. There are a few problems with the game in regards to aiming, but nothing to really stay away from. I say totally go for it. It's a great game.
Cool. Sounds good. We got one more email review to do, and this one is called End Space, developed and published by Orange Bridge Studios. Wow, back-to-back oranges. Released September 19th on PlayStation VR for $19.99. The European release was delayed due to some kind of ratings issue that they're trying to get figured out. Take command of the most advanced starfighter in the United Trade Consortium has ever developed in stunning virtual reality as you battle for the Tartarus sector. Find out what secrets are ready to be revealed here at the end of Inhabited Space. Welcome to the Tartarus sector, Contractor, or as the locals like to call it, End Space. One more review from Greg Middleton, and I'm going to cover this one so that you two could rest.
Oh,
yay!
Hooray!
Greg has to say, jump in your Mino starfighter and blast your enemies into space in dust in virtual reality. Maintain law and order at the mysterious and beautiful edge of inhabited space as you complete increasingly difficult contracts for the United Trade Consortium. Developer Orange Bridge wants to take a shot at making space combat VR game. Well, I have to say, for a team of 2 people, this game achieves in bringing a solid single-player campaign that plays great. The Star Wars Battlefront VR missions and Eve Valkyrie are proof that space combat in VR works, and works really well. I'm happy to say that End Space can sit up there with these 2 games. You are a pilot who works for the UTC, and it's time for you to stop the Tartarus Liberation Front from disrupting the trading and mining of resources in the sector. Controlling the ship is simple with the DualShock controller doing the throttle, turning and pitch and shooting, but what makes this really comfortable and easy is the head tracking for aiming the turrets. Ooh. Not only did this gameplay mechanic immerse me more in the experience, it was also just so much more entertaining and fun to play this way. The shippy pilot does move a little slow for my liking, but once the dogfighting starts, you'll be fucking up guys all over the place. After each mission, you gain credits, which you can spend on ship and weapon upgrades. At first, I thought they seemed a little pricey and a grind was on the horizon, but after doing 5 or 6 missions, I'd bought my first weapon upgrade, and damn did it make mincemeat out of the enemy. It's not to say this is a really easy game. I did have a little trouble with a couple of later missions, but not to the point where I was annoyed or the game spiked in difficulty. More like I can play better than that. Graphics and sound are good, and for a game that was a mobile title first, they've worked hard on improving and bringing this to console, and for all the owners of a PS4 Pro, the upgrades sound impressive. It's a shame there's no multiplayer mode, but with its great controls, easy to play, and fun gameplay, it's really hard not to recommend this purchase. No, it's not going to be the best VR shooter on the network, but when you consider this has been made by a team of 2, I can't believe what they've accomplished, and it gets me excited to see what they turn out next for the VR community. Part with the cash and buy this good game. P.S. Just get that TIE Fighter license. I'm there day 1. So, sounds good. Another solid PSVR game that I really should check out myself one of these days.
I need a VR before I can do that.
Yeah, you should. It's really cool tech. It really is. I've had gripes with the camera and the tracking on it, but overall, for the price, it's a solid package.
Hey, I played the Virtual Boy back in the day, so I think I've earned it.
Nice. Gotta love the Virtual Boy.
Oh, I love it so much.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break from YouTube because I recorded an interview earlier, or not an interview, a review earlier with our friend Royal Sefton, and I'm terrible at finding segues to edit these together. So, just here, I guess. All right, moving on. Next game to talk about is called Inmates, developed by David Andreasjan. I hope I said that right. Published by Iceberg Interactive. This one released October 5th on Steam for $9.99. Inmates is a story-driven, atmospheric psychological horror game featuring interactive exploration in a suffocating location, mind-bending puzzles, and disturbing imagery. You wake up in a rundown prison cell and have no clue how you got there. You've convinced yourself this is all just a nightmare. Bringing in our friend Royal Sefton to cover this one. Royal, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm thankfully not in a suffocating place right now.
So, first thing I gotta know, because it's supposed to be a scary game, did it make you fear pee?
It tried to, and there's one time when I definitely like if I hadn't emptied my bladder before playing, I could have risked.
Could have had
like
a sprinkle.
Yeah, I could have had a sprinkle.
A little spritzel.
Yeah.
So what is Inmates?
Yeah, so Inmates is it's if you look at the description, it even uses these words visual novel. So it's very much a first-person storyteller. You're in this prison, and there's just rust and darkness and lots of weird shit written on the walls everywhere.
Always good.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a good backdrop, and because it's a visual novel, there's a very limited sense of danger. So it's a very discovery driven game. You know, there's no enemy that I've seen really. There's no combat. There's no running and hiding. There isn't a inventory management of any kind. There aren't any difficulty levels. But instead, there's a lot of narration. You know, you actually talk to yourself as you play. There's a lot of jump scares and a lot of very visual cues as to what to do next, as well as kind of a Deus Ex Machina through a radio. You talk to your doctor through this radio, but it's not radio you carry with you. You find radios in a couple different places and you tune it to the right frequency. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it kind of reminds me a lot of some of those frictional games like Soma or Amnesia, but without that sense of something is going to kill me, because again, it's that visual novel style, more like Gone Home or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there at least like a sense of dread of like something might kill me?
At first there was. I don't want to give away too much, but there is a malicious actor somewhere in there that you will occasionally deal with. And whenever they pop around, at least the first time, it's kind of like you saw it coming once you see this character, but you're pretty powerless. There isn't a whole lot you can really do to change the course of what's going to happen next. So you know, at first, when I was first getting into the game, I was looking around the corners, I was looking behind all the time, just waiting for something to change, something to happen, somebody to get me. And unfortunately, it was only really scripted events that I ran into. You know, I know they were scripted events because it's, you know, you collect this item, you talk to the radio, you go to this room you're supposed to go to, and oh, there it is. You know, those kinds of moments. So unfortunately, it's like it could have been so much scarier. The potential was there for that, but you have a few really good jump scares, and then you have a whole lot of stuff like that.
I hear you.
Yeah, so you know, there's a lot of potential in this game, and it could have been so much better in this sense. But you know, just a few things that kind of got to me. Like you walk, you can't run. So if you have to get around the prison, it's kind of a slow slog. But you know,
is there a lot of backtracking?
A little bit. Sometimes you end up waking up in another part of the prison that's close to where you need to be based on what happens. There's sort of a drifting in and out of a dream state type thing that happens occasionally, and then you end up with some really trippy puzzles. One or two of the puzzles really, really, really solid puzzles. A lot of them, unfortunately, were very simple or even a little tedious. So there's some stuff here that's kind of good, and there's unfortunately quite a few puzzles where it's literally, oh, I saw this number written here. Let me plug it in.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Personally, I don't mind every couple of puzzles, or even like a decent chunk of them being simple, so I could just like get through the game and get through the experience instead of getting pissed off that I'm struggling with a puzzle and I'm more frustrated than scared. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, and I get that. And there are some cases where I think that makes a heck of a lot of sense for this. There are a couple cells that you might bump into where you have to solve a puzzle before you can leave the cell as you go exploring. And those puzzles tend to not be too challenging at all. They don't get in your way. You just have a couple minutes to bust them out, and back into the rest of the prison you go. And then there's one that you encounter that will take you quite a bit more time to realize what it is they're asking you to do. So you'll get a little bit of both. You get a little bit of both in there. What's kind of funny about it is all the references that are in there. Not so much pop culture, I wouldn't say, but more like references to known serial killers or biblical references. I think there's a theological undercurrent to the game. Like there's definitely some heaven and hell, God and the devil type stuff that they go into. And there's even a blink and you'll miss it reference to Silent Hill in there, which is kind of funny. You have to decode it to even know what it is, but it's not complicated. So I mean, there's some neat little things you bump into here and there. The thing that's kind of unfortunate about it is that it's kind of a formulaic amalgamation of these different horror tropes. So you got a couple scenes that are kind of like The Ring, the American movie.
Yeah.
You got a couple scenes that are kind of like, or even just some aesthetic details that kind of remind me of the original Slender Man game when you're running through the woods looking for the scraps of paper, like the typefaces and stuff kind of remind me of that. And then there's a couple scenes that remind me a lot of Soma with this sort of broken digital effect. I've
never gotten to play Soma yet.
So, interesting thing about Soma, and I haven't finished it. Full confession, I am a big baby. I cannot sit down and play through Soma. I can't sit down and play through the entire Amnesia Dark Descent or Amnesia Machine for Pigs. I had to read ahead to find out what happens because I love the story. I love the immersion, but God damn it, I cannot sit through them. I still have Resident Evil 7 in my queue. I might have mentioned that one before too. I can't finish these. I got to be playing them in broad daylight without the kids around because obviously I don't want to scare the shit out of them.
Well, speaking of Resident Evil 7, did you hear about our contest that we're doing that we talked about earlier in the show?
Ooh, interesting.
Is that a no?
I did not.
You should go back and listen to that when the episode is out.
I'm gonna have to. That is interesting.
It's good.
Yes, definitely. So it's like in a way I felt like after an hour or so playing the game, it was more like I'm on a hunt for jump scares and references to different horror material that I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But the story's kind of patchy. It's not real clear what you're getting at yet. I think the big reveal might be worth it to some people playing the game, maybe not so much. But I was talking about Soma. The reason I brought that up is there was an interesting article floating around on the Twitters today about game difficulty and how you can do the bypass the boss in Assassin's Creed, the newest one, and how that really pisses some people off and others not so much. Well, I found an article that was linked to that one about Soma with somebody writing a mod that lets you basically turn off the imminent danger of the monsters that you could run into in the game. So you can explore Soma and you can get those jump scares, you can get that visual novel feeling, but you don't actually have anything trying to truly kill you. Just scare the crap out of you. And it changes the experience, I'm told, quite a bit. Now that I have that, I might go back and do that. So I can see the merit in that sort of play style.
Yeah.
This is a game that's probably better for that, where if you feel like you get the shakes trying to play Outlast or something, trying to outrun those I don't even know how to describe what they are, and I don't want to give it away. If you can't handle that sense of imminent danger and the likelihood that you are going to get killed a lot in this game and you don't like that, this is more your kind of game. Inmates is a little more like that.
It's more about the experience, not about the frustration of dying.
Right. Yeah, and see, it's like I look at things like Resident Evil and Silent Hill on the other end of the spectrum, where you're very much in control, and you're very much in danger in the game. You're using weapons to try to carve out your own survival from these unstoppable forces. So, Inmates instead takes a very narrative approach to the whole thing, and that can be your cup of tea, For me, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, I know it's not a very expensive game, so I'm curious to know, for $10, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, if you're really looking for something that does something entirely different with the horror genre, it might be a deny it for you. Because like I said, it's really a lot of things that we've seen before in different games and even different movies. And I can tell it's a labor of love, so I don't feel good about saying that. You know, if you're really looking for action, obviously it's not your cup of tea, but if you're looking for narrative, it could be a try it for you. You know, I'm all about supporting indie developers, especially when the material speaks to me. If you know, if I didn't get a chance to review it, I might have bought it myself, because for $10, I mean, that's a great price. But the playtime, by their own admission, is only 3 or 4 hours. So, you know, some folks might want to wait until it goes into a bundle or goes on sale, like a Steam sale or something.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with $10 for a 3 to 4 hour game.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. That's still cheaper than a movie.
Then again, this is Steam, where people don't buy games unless it's like 48 cents or some shit.
Guilty as charged. There's a reason I have almost 400 games and I've only played like 50 of them.
What? They have a bundle? 74 games for $1.50? Sure,
Yeah.
I know I'll play all of them.
Eventually. I mean, I don't want to be losing money on this deal, right?
Well, Royal, thank you so much for taking care of this game, and I know you'll be back on again soon. So, any final words to sum it up?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something that might scare you, this could be it for you. If you're looking for something where you're going to be running and gunning, not so much. But you know, it was still kick, and I still had goosebumps and potential pee one time. So I got to give it some props.
All right, back to us. Yay!
Yay!
I'm so bad at this.
Welcome us.
You'd think I would get good at this eventually, huh? Anyway, next game to talk about is called Binaries. Developed and published by Ant Workshop. It released September 28th on the Nintendo Switch for $12.99. Test your reflexes and awareness as you simultaneously guide 2 lovable balls through over 100 brightly colored challenges in a controller-smashingly tough platformer. Chris Taylor, what did you think of Binaries?
I think that they put a question mark in parentheses next to the lovable, the word lovable for the balls. Which is kind of the way, I think that's kind of the spirit of the game. Okay, so Binaries is it's a multi-stage puzzle game, like, you know, an avoid the spikes kind of game. Like many others, you know, your VVVVs and whatnots. So this one has an interesting gimmick. Essentially, you have the screen split horizontally. Actually, not even always horizontally. I think sometimes it's split in different ways because they get pretty creative with these levels. But you start with 2 balls, one on one side of the screen and the other usually on the opposite side of the screen. And the goal is to get both of these balls to their goal without dying. Now, the catch to that is that both balls are controlled by the same controller movements. So if you push right, you hold the stick right, then both balls are going to move to the right. So then the trick becomes to sort of manage these 2 different levels. Like, all the levels are always different. So maybe on the bottom part of the screen there will be a spike, whereas on the top part of the screen there's not. You can't just run through. You have to jump over that spike. But maybe there's a spike on the ceiling on the other screen. That's where you have to like start to get creative and like kind of figure things out. It's a gameplay mechanic I haven't seen very often. There's actually an NES game from Sunsoft that was a puzzle game where you controlled 2 characters at once, but I can't for the life of me remember it. But that's how far back we're talking as far as like a game in this style. It actually rather reminded me of a specific Twitch challenge that some people do, like when they're streaming. They try to get through 2 games with the same controller at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've probably seen that before. Well, that's kind of how this is. It's managing 2 different fields with the same controller. Apart from the gimmick, there's really not a whole lot that sets this game like super apart from like anything else where you're running around and dodging things that'll kill you. like, you know, all the silhouette platformers. Like, I think I've reviewed like 3 of them now. It really is all about the gimmick. And another thing I like about it, and I really haven't seen a lot of this besides in Runbow, which I had previously talked about, the game actually breaks the fourth wall and sort of talks to you while you're playing. So sometimes words will appear in the background, and sometimes they give you kind of hints. Sometimes they're like self-deprecating humor. Sometimes it's just basic encouragement. Like, the game basically sits there and like talks to you while you're playing it, and it's kind of, I don't know, I like it. I always like it when the game devs insert this kind of like fourth wall breaking humor into their games. So the game is definitely not without personality. Plus, it looks really nice. It's got lots of cool lighting, which, if the lighting gets in your way, you can just take away and play the whole game in grayscale. It actually does give you that option. But yeah, all in all, it is a really it doesn't start hard, but it scales up considerably. Like, by the time you get into like your you travel along levels on a grid that's basically a whole bunch of other balls, and so you can kind of choose your path as far as where you want to go, which again is like Runbow. That allows you to kind of carve your own path, and sometimes you can get to a goal quicker by playing harder levels, or if you're like me, you want to play all of them so you can experience everything, and so you can do that. But if like a level proves too hard for you, you can try and go around it by beating some other levels. So that's kind of nice that you're not gonna. It keeps you from getting stuck on the one level that you haven't figured out yet, you know. So. Yeah. Good personality, good visuals. Soundtrack's very ambient, so it's not going to really pop at you, which is nice because it's a game where you're really going to be, after like 600 deaths or whatever, you're going to be sitting there trying to concentrate on it. So kind of nice for it not to have a really bombastic soundtrack, if you will. But yeah, all in all, this is a game, if you like the extreme puzzle games and you really want to play something that challenges your ability to sort of, I suppose, perceive more than one thing, like basically playing 2 different games at once, then this is the one.
Nice. I know one of my favorite things with binaries was, I know you mentioned the stages where like the orange is on the left, the blue is on the right. I like when they mix the two and you have to navigate these stages, especially when like, if the blue ball touches orange spikes, it doesn't damage it.
Yes, they invert like the concept really quickly, and it gets really clever.
Yeah,
I really have to give them props for their stage design,
and which
is good because that's what these games are all about.
So I guess for $13 on the Switch, what is your verdict?
Well, I mean, I would say if you're a puzzle fan, go for it. If not, then it's a try it. You know, maybe watch some videos or something, because if you're really looking for something more casual, it looks deceptively casual, but it gets hardcore like really fast. So if you're somebody that just wants to like play through a basic platformer, you might look elsewhere because you're only going to get about 5 minutes into this game before it starts to really frustrate you. But if you're hardcore, this is a great challenging game.
And if anybody wants to hear more about binaries, I actually talked with Tony Golan of Ad Workshop back on episode 215, way back in the August of 2016.
Oh my God, what an innocent time!
I know, the world was such a different place. Yeah, I chat with Tony, and then that episode even features music from the game. So.
It is good music. I didn't mean to downplay the music. It's just ambience.
The best part is episode 215. The title is 011001110, 0110001, 0110010, 0110100.
I get it.
Do you know what it spells?
No, I don't know binary by just ear.
It spells fart, because I'm mature.
What else could it spell?
Yes, I named that episode Fart in Binary because I'm an adult.
I'm only surprised it wasn't like fuck or something more severe.
Hey, this is a family show.
Yeah.
Not with me
No one-
around.
True.
We can't curse on the internet, guys.
Yeah, fuck that. Next game to talk about is called Syndrome, developed by Camel 101, published by Big Moon Entertainment. It released September 29th on Xbox One for $29.99. Out October 6th on PS4 for the same price. Previously available on Steam. Syndrome, a sci-fi survival horror game that places you in a living hell inside a doomed starship. Find out what happened to your lost crew. Run, hide, fight, survive. Cole, what did you think of this?
I think that Syndrome is very reminiscent of Alien Isolation and Dead Space and other similar games in that genre of the sci-fi horror. You are playing as Trent Galen, who awakens after being in cryosleep for an undetermined amount of time to discover that the ship he is on, the SPS Valkenburg, some very bad shit has happened on this ship while Trent has been in cryosleep. At the time of his awakening and the start of the game, there's no power, and there's just a myriad of mutilated corpses and inactive robots just literally littering every hallway. As Trent, you have to explore the ship and uncover the events that have unfolded during your time in cryo. You will do this by basically you have to go from one computer terminal to the next, and then the next mission will be to backtrack across the ship to get something in another room so that you can access another computer terminal. I don't want to use the term walking sim because there is some action that occurs. There are other beings on the ship. Some are helpful, some are not. But a lot of the gameplay relies very heavily on finding this so that you can access that. It's a little repetitive, especially because you're backtracking so much, and every aspect of the ship is just doom and gloom and dark, and the darkness and just sheer pitch black of the hallways, it adds to the uncomfortable horror aspect, but it also makes it really easy to get turned around and discover that you're on the entirely wrong part of the ship for what you're trying to get to a lot. On one hand, the whole scare yourself and that's a big aspect of the gameplay, but as you play through it, it just kind of gets frustrating when you're like a good chunk of the way through the game and you still just don't know where anything is. It gets a little irritating. You do have a map, but again, because everything looks the same, you start thinking you're going the right way. You check the map and realize you very much so did not.
So is there any combat in this game, or is it basically just trying to avoid combat at all times?
There is combat, but it's not particularly useful, if that makes sense. When you can pick up pistols and an SMG, and you can pick up a tool which can be used as a melee weapon. When you do engage the being, I'm trying not to give away spoilers, the nefarious beings who may be about, the game doesn't give you any kind of indicator when you've hit them. They don't even like respond to, if not just hitting them with the melee weapon, but even shooting them with the weapon. There's not anything to indicate. They just keep trudging forward at you regardless. And so it can be a little difficult to tell, are you even hitting them, or are you just wasting the few precious bullets that you have? Like, I just found it was much more beneficial to duck in a cabinet and wait for them to go by.
So it's more about the
And,
stealth than about combat.
Yeah, in the very beginning, you're kind of forced into the combat a couple times, but later it's just so much easier just to hide and let them go by, and then carry on. Especially since some of the enemies are in the later levels, they're severe enough that they can pretty much kill you instantly, and so you're better off just to not engage them at all.
So when this is described as survival horror, it is literally about trying to survive and not die instead of trying to fight everything.
What's funny though is that, obviously shit has hit the fan, something fierce on this ship, and you can search the corpses that are around, and apparently this has happened recently enough that the food has not gone bad, because there's just like cakes and fountain drinks and hamburgers and you take them and you eat them and you get health, and it just seems like it's not particularly healthy, but it is an aspect, and it's a thing. There are like med kits in the form of an injection, and those seem like much more viable options for healing than eating a random cheeseburger you pulled off a corpse. But it's a thing you can do if you're, if you're obliged to that. Go for it.
Be good for corpse burgers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have
welcome
a burger,
to Corpse Burger, home of the Corpse Burger.
But other than it just being a little odd in some of those quirks, especially with the gunplay not even just the gunplay, the combat as a whole being a little ineffective. Otherwise, it's not the kind of story that's gonna break the genre or anything. But if you're a fan of the survival horror, science fiction, lost on a spaceship with, nothing around to save you, you're probably gonna enjoy this. And so I give it a recommended try it, because it does what it does well. It just isn't anything that's like, oh my god, you have to play this. But
yeah. It sounds like fans of Alien Isolation. As I say, it sounds like fans of Alien Isolation would enjoy this one.
Exactly. Like, that's all I could think about every time I ducked into a locker. I was like, yeah, I'm playing Locker Simulator 2016. So, it's the sequel. But yeah, if you liked Alien Isolation, you're going to want to jump all over Syndrome, because it's very similar, but with just a slightly different story. It's not an alien chasing you, per se.
Sounds good. Final game to talk about tonight is called Zombie Party, developed by Peach Pie Productions, published by Black Shell Media, released October 6th on Xbox One for $9.99, so it should be out by the time you hear this. Zombie Party is a retro rampage of fun and over-the-top action while still giving the players a deep and engaging action RPG roguelike experience. Go on a time-traveling adventure or delve deep into procedural dungeons full of gold, loot, and secrets. When I first played this game, I was very, very much reminded of I Made a Game with Zombies in it. And that it's top-down, waves of zombies come at you. The big difference is that this has like actual progression and like campaign and unlockables instead of just being like a 10-15 minute game and that's it. Visual style is of course significantly different. Pixel art style graphics, bright, colorful, vivid colors. So it's not just dark, drab, brown, gray, blood. It's a colorful, entertaining looking game. Twin stick shooter, so zombies will come at you. You'll pick up different guns from the ground. There's tons of different guns in this game. You pick up ammo for a handful of standard guns, and then you could pick up other special guns as you go through that have their own crazy, unique abilities. You could pick up modifiers that could give your bullets different properties, like either piercing bullets, or it makes them like quadruple the size. So instead of a normal bullet, it's like just a gigantic bullet going at you. There's even some crazy modifiers that turn like all of your bullets into suns, for example, because why the fuck not? Or it turns everything into rainbows. There's just a lot of crazy over-the-top weapons in this game. And, you know, those kind of guns are very helpful when you come up against bosses as well. A handful of different modes in the game. There is like the standard adventure mode where you go through different periods of time, whether it's like caveman era or like, you know, cute cuddly forest area, and you have to destroy waves of zombies, and then you kill a boss, and then you jump in your time machine and go somewhere else, repeat, and continue. There is also a dungeon crawling mode where you have to go through procedurally generated dungeons, kill all the enemies if you want, get to the exit, move on. After 5 or so stages, you fight a boss. I loved the dungeon crawling mode, except for what I think is the biggest issue I have with this game. Crippling slowdown.
Oof.
Like, I don't know if it's because the game is trying to load too many characters, or too many, like in some of the Egyptian stages, there's like pots everywhere that you could shatter. Sometimes they'll have money or ammo inside. A lot of times there's just nothing, but I don't know if there's just too much sprites and characters on the screen that it is slowing everything down. If it like loads the entire stage instead of just sections at a time. And I don't know what the problem is, but I ran into a little bit of slowdown in the adventure mode. Nothing bad. It was only when there were tons of enemies around, and when you killed stuff, everything was, you know, fine and dandy. In the dungeon crawling mode, there were times where I would start a stage and it was a crawl. Everything was just incredibly slow. I don't know if it needs to be optimized better. I don't know if there might even be a launch day patch, because, you know, it's out by the time you hear this, but I was playing it pre-release. I will give it another chance once it is officially out in public to see if there was any kind of patch to address the slowdown in the dungeon crawling mode. As it stands, the arcade, the adventure mode itself at $10, I think is absolutely worth buying, because it is just a fun, goofy, over-the-top experience. If you're a fan of I Made a Game with Zombies in it, definitely worth buying. But the dungeon mode, it needs work. It needs...
Would you say it's as slow as Super Ghouls and Ghosts?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I played Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Like, if there are more than 3 enemies on the screen in that game, then it's just like frame by frame.
Like, I want to say that there were times where it was playing at like 25% speed.
Wow.
It was ridiculous how bad the slowdown was. And I stuck with it, killing enemies, you know, as I killed more enemies and cleared out more of the stages, everything. By the time I was done, the game was moving full speed again. I really don't know what the issue is. I hope they could figure it out and address it. Again, I will update people if that has been taken care of. But back to the rest of the game, I enjoy the fact that you can collect money as you're playing, that you can use to unlock different weapons that you could start with instead of just having to find them all. You can get like permanent stat boosts to help you out. They even have a little casino area where you could like play the slots and try to unlock shit for the game. Although I did horrible and I just wasted a shitload of money in there, which was a really, really bad idea. Again, for $10, despite the slowdown issues, mostly in the dungeon section of the game, I still got to give it a buy. I had a lot of fun with this game. I am going to play it more. It's a great looking game. It's nice to see a zombie shooter with colors in it instead of just dark and drab. But they really need to find out what the hell's going on with that slowdown, because that is cripplingly bad.
That title sure is a winner.
Zombie Party. And it is on Steam. I would assume that if someone grabs it on Steam, it runs a bit better.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Party with zombies.
It's sitting at very positive reviews on Steam. And again, it's a lot of fun. It's just, they got to figure out what the hell's going on with that slowdown. I don't know, man. But that is it for now. We are going to take a quick musical break, and Cole and I will be back with the guys from Bulbware chatting about Bulb Boy. That was a fun chat, wasn't it, Cole?
Indeed.
So
I won't be back.
No, you won't, because fuck you, Chris.
Dang.
But
You're not allowed to hang out with the cool people anymore. When we talk about poo, we get rid of you.
Dang.
There's so much poop talk. There really is.
It really was a whole lot of shit.
But yeah, that's it for now. Chris, do you have any final words to wrap it up since you won't be back?
Yeah, just, anybody that's listening to this, I just started streaming again on Twitch. I got a pretty good setup now and a good schedule of stuff and everything. So yeah, Twitch, go find me at Liar Exaggerate, LIERXAGERATE, like the Earthbound character.
I'm cutting all of that out. Welcome back, everyone. Joined by a couple of guests at this time. First up, guest co-host right now, Cole Martin. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. There's a very good chance you've already been on the episode, but I don't know, so we're just going to go with it. But we are also joined by two of the folks from Bulbware. How are you guys doing today? I didn't catch your names, and I'm terrible at pronouncing things anyway, so would you folks like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Szymon.
And I'm Artur.
And welcome to the show. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, very busy as always, but we're happy to find some time for you guys and discuss the upcoming release. So, nice to meet you guys.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. You are the folks behind the game Bulbware, which we covered recently on the Nintendo Switch, and by the time the show is out, it just released on the Xbox One. For the people who don't know what Bulbware is, give us the rundown. Give us the sales pitch. What is this game?
Yeah, if you think about this game, the sales pitch would be really weird because it would be very hard without mentioning any poop. But the idea in this game, basic idea, is that you are controlling a little fella whose head is a bulb, and you're supposed to rescue your grand paraffin, his like older kind of oil lamp, and the story is like based in the bulb house where some evil comes in, and you're in the mission of rescuing your family, your pet dog, which is in fact flying moth dog, rescuing your grandpa, and you're going to solve some puzzles. And yeah, originally it was like more point and clicky style of game, but once we moved to the consoles, it is like you control the character directly, so it shifted into like little bit to a new direction, but the mini location stayed basically the same. So I would say that's it. I don't know if Artur have anything to add.
I think you said
more than enough. Yeah. Yeah.
How does a game like this get pitched amongst yourselves, where one of you just walks in one day and says, "I have a game idea. It involves a lot of poo." Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, that's usually like this idea comes to your mind in toilet. But to be honest, that we knew each other since the high school. So like 14 years ago, we had this idea to make adventure game, and we failed miserably. And like after 12 years, we haven't had contact ever since, but after 12 years, Artur reached back to me asking if I still want to make this game. And the idea behind, so we started prototyping without any super clear idea where we are heading. We started as a side project, and then this idea about light bulbs and poop emerged by accident. Because our friend in our studio, because we were testing some Instagram filters on a screen.
There is only one poop in the game.
One big poop, and there are plenty of small ones. Yeah.
It is a big poop too. Like you guys are giving Conker's Bad Fur Day a run for their money with giant poops.
Yeah, I must say we haven't played that game. So once we like release it and show this idea to a wider public, basically people pointed at us that the game you mentioned already has a case of huge poop as your opponent, but we thought that this idea is super genuine. But yeah, and even the fact is when we were making Kickstarter, we haven't heard about Binding of Isaac, and the funny thing is plenty of people see similarities to Binding of Isaac as well. So but then once I learned about it, I had I drew some inspirations from the game. So, but it wasn't the case with the Conkers, yeah.
So how long has this game been in development? You said that you first worked on a game about, 12 years ago, and then you recently got back together to make this one. How long ago has this game been in development?
We wanted to make it in 1 year, but finally, eventually we made it in 13 months. So it's over the year.
That's still a pretty quick time to get a game done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
And how far into the 13 months did you guys decide that poop had to play a big role in the game?
The first month.
That was part of the pre-planning. Like, we can make this game together again. We could do an adventure game together, but there's got to be shit everywhere.
Yeah, but it's like there was this case about big idea about making game which is cute and appealing and creepy at the same time. So maybe in Tim Burton-esque way, but we wanted to shift it towards like gross kinds of stuff. So the funny thing is that we haven't paid so much attention towards the poop, because you have all of the body liquids, vomits, snot everywhere in the game. But the fact is, after so many people play the game, it appears that most memorable moment is the room where you have to face poopers in the kabuki theater mask, and people remember it's like a peak moment of the game. And that's the one thing that they mention mainly whenever we ask about what's the most recognizable thing about Bulbware for them, because it's in fact not only about poop, it's a story about love that little boy has towards his grandpa and pet dog. Yeah, so it's family love.
I think the big two things for me in the game that stick with me are the poop monster, clearly, and then the headless turkey.
Yeah, we call
the headless chicken is impressive.
Headless chicken, yeah.
Oh, chicken, not turkey. My bad.
Yeah, because I guess in Turkey it's like more popular in US because of the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
In Poland, it's usually the chickens that we eat, and we don't have basically Thanksgiving. So yeah, but in fact the name, since you don't have any words in the game, our code name for this big guy was headless chicken.
Just talking about this game has such a big smile on my face, because it's just such a goofy, fun, cute game that goes in the most fucked up directions possible with subject matter, and I love it. It just works really well.
That no drugs were taken during the production of this game, and that's all creative ideas. So, like, based on our own imagination. So,
I'm not sure if that's more impressive or scary, honestly.
Yeah. You should ask my wife about that. So.
Oh, man. So, Cole, I know you just recently played the game on Xbox One. What were your thoughts on the game? What kind of questions do you have about it?
I really enjoyed the game. My biggest question I already asked was, like, how does this even get pitched? How did you guys settle on the art style for the game? Because it's really kind of unique and it's cartoonish, but it has that surreal factor going for it. So what prompted you guys to go that direction for the art style?
Yes, so maybe before we moved to that, since you mentioned pitching, in fact the game started as Kickstarter project, so we had to pitch it somehow in the Kickstarter video. So at the point of Kickstarter, we had only playable demo, which was Bible Room only, the puzzle with a spider that you're supposed to give $3. And then, since we run Kickstarter, we haven't concentrated the sales pitch, the Kickstarter pitch on the poop, but on various monsters. But we must mention that PewDiePie, who is a famous YouTuber, liked it so much that he funded our project. So basically, when he saw the monsters and involving poop, he was sold and decided to become our sole supporter, backer, and he, like, one person funded whole project, so I think it's the art thing. So moving to your second part of question, was like decided on the very beginning, because it's like based on I don't know, my drawings, my poor skills of drawing. So basically I decided to keep things very simple, and since I'm the artist behind project and Artur is coder, So the basically this is the way I draw, and I even decided, because I'm a very lazy human being, I decided not to use even gradients, any kind of lines, just the shapes in Photoshop. So I try to simplify the process of creating art as much as I can. But the funny way is that with this lazy kind of art, we were able to win, for example, Intel Award on PAX West Best Character Design. So sometimes it's like you don't have to put so much effort towards drawing and still be able to create like believable character, or some kind of art style which appeal to wider audience, I think.
That's right. Does that also explain the limited color palette in the game, just trying to keep things more simplistic?
Yeah, that was the whole concept, like to simplify things as much as we can, because we are only two-person crew. We hired one sound designer and one coder who was coming to our studio twice a week, making save systems. So basically like 90% of the project, including publishing, marketing, and all that stuff, which is not just the development, was on our hands. So I had to come up with some rules for myself, and I have this huge post on that on our Bulbware blog, mentioning what was the whole process and pipeline of the rules and guidelines we chosen for ourselves to make it possible.
That's really cool.
Is there anything about the development process that you would change and do differently now?
Yeah, I think
a lot of things.
Lessons. So many lessons. It was our first project. Artur had some the gaming industry background, but I was coming from the marketing and animation field. I finished art school in specialization of animation. So the thing is, we were totally new and we learned so many lessons. I don't know, maybe Artur, do you remember the biggest one for us?
The biggest one.
You cannot see his face, but there is this. You can see the pain coming from his.
Is it kind of similar to the post chicken dinner kind of pain face that we see in the game?
Yeah,
like the beads of sweat and all that.
Yeah, his painful look when he sits down on the toilet bowl. Yeah.
I think a shadow system could be an example, because first we thought to use more simple shadows, but eventually we ended with this shadows, blur shadows, and it looks better, but there was big amount of work to make it to look like this. So I think it's something like and on the other side, we've released this game on mobiles, and these shadows on mobiles are simplified, and it looks still good. The game looks still good, so maybe it's this.
So we had to remove second system again.
So maybe this effort wasn't needed at this time.
Also, optimization of art assets.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine that the illustrated look to it would lead the game to look great pretty much on any platform you could put it on. Just the simplistic visuals to it just seem to work across any medium I can imagine.
Yeah, but that's one thing is looks, and the other is interface, and we reworked interface like completely on mobiles. we rework it on consoles, because for us it wouldn't feel natural, for example, if you play Bulbware on consoles and you have to like move character around by like moving cursor and pointing some direction and then hitting X or A or anything like it. Yeah, so there are plenty of like elements involved in like, since the Bulbware is like multi-platform title, it's like plenty of elements that you have to take into consideration when you move to another platform. So the right now we are, we're aiming to port it to PS4 someone soon, but I'm not sure when yet. But yeah, still apart from, putting the same graphics there, which is not a big deal, we have to like prepare all the assets for the stores, check it, that everything works correctly. There are, different like some libraries or like coded elements on each platform that we have to rework on each and every time, basically.
Gotcha.
You mentioned having to change the controls. On Steam, it's a point and click. On Xbox, you have to move back and forth with the character. You actually control the character himself as opposed to having a cursor.
Yeah.
There's even one scene where you have to control little hero with the left thumbstick and you control the moth dog with the right. Were there any special intricacies in preparing for that? Importing that?
The funny thing is that we thought that it's super clear thing for people to understand, but we learned since our Switch release was first that some of the people weren't aware even that they can control the second character, because we haven't put there any icon. So they had this idea, since they using only left stick from the very beginning, there is no need to use the other one. So we were contacted like by dozens of people asking us what to do next, and then we learned that we need to patch it and to add like the icon which will indicate, hey man, you're supposed to use both sticks here, and we've got it implemented in our Xbox release. So
I'm guilty of that. When I played it on the Switch, I had no idea I was able to control the dog in that section.
Yeah, but I think it's So I think it's when you create interface, it is very delicate thing and sometimes very sophisticated. So even if you test something on some small group, you're never sure, because we don't do Q&A with like large group of testers, only our friends and family and people who are willing to pay us little visit at our studio. So I think this is basically wrong design choice, our fault, and we're glad we're not did all the consoles at the same time, because we can learn on our mistakes while we proceed with the next platforms, and we like our idea is to patch the previous platforms as well. So the already version 1.1 arrived, which has this icon which indicates that you can fly Mothdoc as well. So we think it's like it is our fault and our mistake, and we are not afraid to admit it publicly.
I guess that's one of the good things of gaming in this generation, that if you guys overlook something like that, I know even a lot of people that we've talked to, they won't even be able to correctly estimate the difficulty of their game, because they're the ones who've been creating it and playing it constantly. And these are just design choices that you guys have been so familiar with that it didn't occur to you that others might not be aware of it. But thankfully, in this day and age, people could give you feedback and you can implement patches in the game and update it to take care of issues like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great thing about it, because, even if you test it on, 100 people, 50 people, it's nothing to compare like right now we hit like 200,000 player base.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it's hard to imagine, if we would like to invite all the players to our office, which is like 10 feet by 10 feet, it was, I couldn't imagine how they would like overwhelm this place, it would be a pile of human flesh, yeah. Yeah.
Just a sea of humanity packed in a tiny office.
Yeah. That's, so with the wider audience, you also learn something about some very rare bugs appearing in your game. That's another thing, because even like you have testers when you release on consoles, they are not able to find everything, so it's sometimes, we really want to make this like bug-free game, but then it appears that there is this one issue which comes, like 1 on 10,000 people will have it, something like this, and then you learn about something new.
If there is a bug, I will find it.
In this game, there are plenty of bugs like the centipede and the spider, but I hope. No, I'm sure you can find some.
The only time I had a problem, and it's not a joke, if there's a bug, I'll find. I have fallen through the floor of every fucking game I have played.
She has. She's really good at finding glitches in games.
And the only thing that I had actually crop up with Bulbware was my batteries died while I was playing. And normally when your batteries die, it'll pop up something on the screen and it'll pause. Like, I had no idea what was happening because I was at the part where you're in the spider against the giant strawberry. Yeah. And, like, he just fell off the wall and scuttered over to the corner and stayed there. And then I was like, the hell did this happen? But he was still moving. And I couldn't control him. And then I looked down and noticed that my Xbox light was off. And my batteries were dead. Like, if it had popped up, it would have been nice. But that was the only time I broke the game. It was because I ran out of juice.
Jesus, Cole, how much do you break things?
I do it every day, man.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. Artur will have something to do, making 1.1 version on Xbox.
You just got to give them more work, don't you?
Your controller died. Hey, jackass, change your batteries. That'd be good.
Okay. We will put you in the credits once.
Thank you, Eternal Rage, for breaking our shit.
Like how every time we have guests on, I make a joke of like, hey, just put us as a special thanks in the credits. And you're the one who's going to get a thank you in the credits. I guess I have to break games more. I guess that's my problem.
Yep, you're not put. That's the thing. Like, I button mash. I have rheumatoid disease. My fingers are crooked, so I just hit shit.
Hates about me the most. That's I like mash buttons a lot. So I'm good tester when it comes to like hitting like X button 30 times. If even you're not supposed to do anything, I just click buttons randomly to kill time, so I'm a good tester, yeah.
It's a good way to help find bugs or find issues in a game. So many people out there are just going to dick around aimlessly when they're playing a game on their controller, and that's a good way to find stuff.
Yeah,
well, see, and I'm going to hail back to our last interview because there was the question of, it was asked of me if I was the kind of player who would just press all the buttons or if I would just do what the screen told me to do. And I was like, I just do what the screen tells me to do. So this time the screen didn't tell me to do anything. So I thought of that interview and I was like, I'm going to push all the buttons. And I did.
That's good.
You mentioned you only being able to test the game with like family, friends, people who were visiting the studio. Did you guys take it to any kind of conventions or expos to show off?
Yeah. Since the original version was released back in 2015, then in next year mobile, so iOS and Android, and in 2017 we're aiming for all of the consoles. I hope that we pretty much traveled everywhere with it, and yeah, even at the point that the game wasn't ready, we tested it on smaller convention in Krakow, Digital Dragons, and I think it is like better to gather some, idea about the game, like to test this on a smaller audience. So I think we had like 2 conferences, and because we've been to PAX West as well before the release, I think
with demo only.
Yeah, with demo, yeah. So we haven't tested it. So basically, our idea was to ask if anyone in Krakow is willing to play the game, and we won't give any advice during playthrough. We're just going to observe people and take some notes, like some crazy scientists, because we were like, our concept was, if we need to explain anything, the players won't be able to figure things out. So that let us learn if we have some bad design choices in interface or in a gameplay, because we aimed for this intuitive feel in the game, that you just know what to do. So at the point when we have 15 people went through our office testing the game, and we saw that everything works, we decided, to launch it, and then we had some patch on Steam as well. So basically the versions that you have right now, it's based on this, that the game is out there for 2 years, and we're constantly patching things up and putting some new things inside.
So basically every new version of a game is like the definitive version.
Yeah. The
problem is that fixing bugs is making new bugs, so there's always something to fix.
Yeah, there's always risk. But the super funny thing I have to mention, we are nominated right now for the Nintendo Switch Game of the Year title, with 9 other games, mentioning Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, ARMS, and all the other big ones. And
wow.
The funny thing is, the super funny thing would be if we win. Imagine that this raging crowds, because we are taking the games in the contest. But I don't have any clue what these guys are doing, why they decided to nominate us in London for Golden Joystick. I think the announcement of the winner will be at the end of the month. So the thing is, maybe, with the newer versions, we gather more attention and bigger awards, and at the point we release PS4, we will be like the Game of the Year, 2017 or 18. No, it's just a little joke on my side. I don't want to get, crazy with it, but...
That's really cool, though. Congratulations to just be nominated as one of the games of the year. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's super weird. I'm not sure if they really played the game. But inside, man, what are you doing? Yeah. Things will gonna get weird if we get the microphone on stage, and start talking what the game is really about, Yeah, but it's
do you guys have a victory speech in mind at all if you guys win?
No, it's a good idea. Maybe we should rehearse, starting tonight,
You could practice right now. Let's just pretend that you guys just won Game of the Year. What do you say?
Let me just say nothing and play the scene when you're facing the poopers for you, and then you're gonna learn why it's better than the whole cooking mechanics and in Zelda Breath of the Wild, and the story is so deep, Yeah.
Breath of the
That's
Wild ain't got shit on Bulb Boy. Literally, there's no shit in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and super funny thing is that the Nintendo Life magazine liked the game very much, but they put this article on the main page, like you get a little tile with a picture there with Bulbboy review, saying Bulbboy review, and then subtitle says this game poops or something, but they said it in a positive way, but many people thought that's the bad review, so they even bothered to click it, this link, and then when they see the review by accident, they commented that, they thought that it's gonna be really bad review, like 1 out of 10 or something. So, so.
That actually reminds me, in America, when the game Earthbound released on the Super Nintendo, Nintendo of America, all their promotional marketing stuff were like scratch and sniff stickers, and the tagline was "This game stinks."
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of like skip the game because Nintendo says the game stinks, why should we bother with it?
Yeah, that's the reason why we haven't hit like million sales yet. Yeah. That's the sole reason, because they put this subtitle there. Yeah, we need to sue them. I think that's a good idea for.
You should take them down, man. Fuck them.
But never mind. They are cool guys. Yeah, just sue them. The publisher has got some money. We are just poor in this. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm guessing the overall reception to the game has been pretty well, given, Game of the Year nominations. You said you've sold like 200,000 units. It sounds like people are enjoying this.
Yeah. We're really glad, because we are like taking this risk of making really short game, and because we had this idea that we need to polish everything, and it's better to keep it shorter but in the higher level of polish, So many people were approaching us and mentioning that's like not maybe good to make it like 2 hour long, because people would expect something longer. But we aimed for the lower price with the shorter story and keep quality as high as we can, and I think we got away with it.
I gotta say, I would rather pay $9 and play a really, really solid 2 hour game than pay $40 and play a mediocre like 20 hour game.
Yeah. So there was basically the same thinking behind our development.
Short and sweet. That's the best way to do it, I think, especially in a day, today's day and age where there's so many games coming out that we just don't have time to constantly play these 50-hour epic games.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, Gamasutra released like some statistic recently. If you compare the average playthrough of an indie game like this year to 5 years ago, like fast time and stuff like that, people prefer to spend much longer times during like playthrough in the game. So it's like whole like in the industry shifted like towards game who have like some random content inside, some roguelikes or something like it, which can you play for many hours. So I don't know, just to mention, what, because it wasn't like easy the decision to aim for such a game, but it paid off eventually. But I think the whole idea behind playing indie game, like for the most of the audience shifted towards this different direction, I guess.
I don't know. I personally prefer shorter games today. I don't have time to sink so much into games.
Yeah, the same for us. Especially if you make, games on your daily basis. It's like, I love to play, Steamworld Dig when I know that I'm gonna finish this game in like 11 hours, or like Kingdom, which is shorter. But whenever I'm like facing like basic story which takes 60 hours to beat, it's like, man, I'm going to play this game for a year or something, because it's like we get money from development, you get from playing games. But the thing is that, when you have family, when you have all these things, in this your adult life, it's like impossible to spend like whole weekends or like 6 hours in the evening on the daily basis. So I'm just trying to say that when I was teenager, I was spending a lot of time playing, much more than nowadays.
I think it's important to say, though, that even though the game as a whole is shorter, and we see this a lot with indies, even though that it's a shorter game and you can finish it in an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours for some, depending on how bad you are at that final boss lore. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. You still have reasons to go back and revisit these, because there will be Easter eggs tucked away inside. I know I'm going to have to replay through because I missed several of the missable achievements, and you still get that time commitment if you're interested in taking that step. If you just want to play for the story and be done with the story, you can do that quickly. Or you can go back and you can really go and explore, and find the Easter eggs that have been tucked away.
Yeah.
So I played it on the Switch, and I didn't have access to any kind of achievements or trophies like you would see on Xbox or PlayStation. What kind of fun achievements did you guys hide in the game?
Secret ones, 13 achievements, I guess. That was the number.
12, I think.
Yeah.
What it was?
Some of them are like will allow you to learn something about the story, or dig little deeper into the meaning of the game, but it's like small touches here and there. But I must say that people, we thought that some of them are super hard to find, but we learned that once the Steam group, like Finding Achievement, was funded, they managed to like find everything in, I'm not sure, 12 hours. They knew everything.
Oh, wow.
And we thought, because you connect some achievement to being at some point, at some time of your system time, which we thought that will take people like a year to find this kind of achievement. And then, after 2 hours, we already knew the script.
Gamers
the
today are
version
insane.
Of that achievement. No, Joe, I'm talking. You wait.
Sorry.
Does the Xbox achievement for that, where you're supposed to be in a certain room at a certain physical hour, is that the same, or has it been changed for Xbox to where you can just go to that room, or does it have to be at the same time?
We have the same achievement on PC as on Xbox, and we removed achievements from Nintendo since there is no support for the system achievements that you have on Xbox and PS4, and we will definitely keep the same achievements on PS4. So basically we want to make it as comparable and as same as on the other platforms, so that basically if you don't want to have spoilers, don't look through Steam groups. Yeah.
Something else I enjoy about the achievements, at least on Xbox, is when the achievement is locked and you haven't earned it yet, the description is just a sad face. I love that.
When you pop it, it's a happy face.
Yeah, because we thought that if we say something about these achievements, that would be too obvious for people to find them. And for instance, there are some obvious achievements connected to the standard playthrough story. So if you beat the headless chicken, you get achievement like I don't remember the name, but roasted chicken or something like it. So you can learn that you're gonna kill the monsters just by reading the title, but on the other ones we don't want to make any spoilers. So that's why we put these kawaii faces intentionally there.
I think that's a really cool addition to it. I like that a lot. Just a bunch of sad faces.
Yep. And then it's adorable because when you do it, and then at the bottom when your teammate pops up and then it's the little kawaii happy face, you're like, I did a thing.
It's celebrating with me.
Smiling.
So I know the game has a bunch of hidden Easter eggs in it. I know even in like the living room in the game, there's a power glove hidden on the floor. What kind of other crazy stuff is just tucked away in this game?
There are plenty of references, even not only to the pop culture, but to the high art, like the sculptures of Giacometti from Switzerland, or the the Francis Bacon paintings. There are like R2D2 parts somewhere. There are even in the happy level, which is like memory level, you can find the cartridges with ET, Atari cartridges, like hidden in the ground of the desert. So because you see like the slice of the ground and there are inside like plenty of cartridges, because it's like I don't know if you're aware of this, the case that they buried the ET cartridges in the Nevada desert, I guess. Yeah, so that's, and plenty of people caught that. So we're glad that we, made it to make it not only appealing towards like audience who come to the games like adventure games for the first time or something, but they are different layers from people coming from different backgrounds. So we are guys from 80s, child of 80s. So basically like this Atari reference is something that someone who's younger, I guess, he wouldn't understand that. But for instance, there was this failure promising project PT. So there is this picture with like taken from the game PT, which is hanging in the living room with the same markings, and that's the little reference from like some like recent game. Yeah,
we had even that Mario in Severs, so we can meet.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and we even like showcase all the references to Nintendo for them to decide if we are not pushing things too much and reference it like too much or something. But they were cool and okay with all the Nintendo references.
That's really cool. There's so many cool little hidden details in the game, and I love it. It's cool seeing a lot of attention to detail like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We thank you. We may promise that in our upcoming project we'll try to like preserve this mindset and add some Easter eggs here and there.
So what did you have in mind for a future project?
It's super secret.
It's not safe to slip anything around us.
We're just saying that we hope we have some teaser trailer arriving in I guess few months this year, maybe January.
Oh,
maybe this year, maybe December, maybe January, and we may promise that you're gonna be disgusted and you're gonna be cutified. Is there a word for that in English? Sorry, can you say it? Cutified? Like you mean enchanted by cuteness and all the grossness, So that's what we are aiming for, and we learned our lesson, from Bulbware, and we're trying to put that into the new project. So
it's going to be adorable poo, isn't it?
We will definitely keep you posted.
Is that something that's looking to come out next year, or is that a little bit further in the future?
Yeah.
I think next year.
Gotcha.
I think he's hitting the uncomfortable button, Joe.
Questions I don't want to answer.
Sorry, I haven't heard it properly. Could you repeat? There is no joke that would feel us make uncomfortable, I hope.
I was just curious if the game was going to be coming out next year, if you have platforms in mind for it, or if that's still just too far in the future to think about yet.
We think next year, but we are not sure about platforms. We have this idea, like with Bulbware, if we see that there is this potential in the project, we will be more than happy to release it everywhere, because we're making it in Unity, so it's make things less painful to port it to different platforms. So we definitely, if we would have the same case with new title as with Bulbware, we'll be definitely porting to the same platforms.
Nice. I know you mentioned Bulbware is available PC, Mac, iOS, Android, Switch, just came out on Xbox One, coming to PS4. Do you guys have any plans for a PS Vita port?
I don't think so. I'm not. We haven't even discussed it. We discussed 3DS, but.
Is 3DS something that might happen, or is the 3DS just not powerful enough?
I think it's powerful enough to for Bulbware, but we didn't think about porting it to Vita, I think.
But guys, we're making the same game over and over again for last 3 years.
It's time to just move on and do something new, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know we've been chatting for quite a while. Was there anything else about the game that you wanted to discuss that we didn't bring up?
About the game, have we mentioned that there is poop involved in the game?
I don't think we did. Tell us about this poop.
Yeah, so one of the poops in the game is connected to one Nintendo achievement. So look carefully in the sewers, so you might be able to find something there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know what it is.
So we might end up with this mystery thing.
Like, I am so looking forward to replaying this game on Xbox and popping some achievements. I love the game on the Switch. Cole, I'm assuming that you really enjoyed it on Xbox.
I did indeed. I finished it literally 10 minutes before we started. I finally beat that final boss. I don't know which one of you are responsible for the teeth in that sequence, but we're not friends.
Yeah. It is really hard. I always had problems to test it properly because I keep forgetting the sequences. It's really painful, yeah. Yeah, but we wanted to give people this sense of doing something huge in this last battle. We didn't have this idea to make it.
I think on the Switch, it's
hardest.
Yeah, it's the hardest version.
Hardest.
Yeah, good. Nintendo can keep that. I will say, you guys are incredible. The game's incredibly liberal with its save points. And so at least once I finally got past where I was struggling, I was past it. Even if I died again later, I wasn't thrown back to where I was having to sit 15 more times through that sequence.
Yeah,
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, lucky us. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Artur, Szymon, it has been a pleasure having the two of you on the show. The game is fantastic. Where can people keep up to date with everything that you guys are doing?
Please check us out on Bulbware.com. You have this little blog that we update like every 2 months on something like that. And as well, we're on Twitter and Facebook. We're at Bulbware, which is the same as the name of company, so easy to remember, and the same on Facebook. Yeah, so look for us there, and we like usually, or we aim to answer each and every email that is coming our way. So, thankfully, it's not like millions of emails each month, but you know.
I don't know, if you guys win Game of the Year, you might start getting millions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. People
That might get you guys that amiibo.
yeah. Yeah. That would be wonderful.
I think we talked about that before the show started, but
Oh.
we were joking around that because they saw my amiibo collection in the background, that if people have ever been in the Mixer stream while we do the show, that they've probably seen my amiibo behind me. We need to get a Bulbboy amiibo one of these days. Like, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Would be cool.
So shoot an email to the guys at Yacht Club, find out how they got their Shovel Knight amiibo made, and let's see it happen. That'd be awesome to see. I'd buy it.
That's some idea, yeah.
Oh, man. But again, thank you guys so much for coming on the show and chatting with us about the game. Bulbboy, like we said, is out now on Steam, mobile, Switch, just came out on Xbox One. Do you guys have any final words to end the show?
May light shine upon you.
more.